The Earth is very flat.
What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021. Welcome to Brandon's show. I am Brandon. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. See, we got a few people in the chat already. What's up, guys? Mojo Shop, Mark Collard. Almost Unbelievable. What's up? Ian Adams, Gadget Inspector, Bill G, Dan Morris, page 42, Mark Collard, Carlos 888, Flat for Life, and more to come. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing all right out there. Hope you guys can hear me. It looks like you can. Yes, yes, yes. I see the thumbs up. Excellent. Excellent. That's a good start. That's a good sign. What do we got going on today? We're going to probably continue the 100 proofs. And then when we get bored with that or find a tangent, we'll go off into that. I do want to take a look sometime this week at the Mars descent versus the moon descent. And that was another suggestion from somebody in the audience. And it's quite a bit different. So we can take a look at that. I still personally feel that the Mars descent and the footage from the Perseverance rover is a mixture of CGI and real life, I don't know, video done locally on Earth. But who knows? The Streamlabs link is in the chat. I'll pin that to the top. Any support for the show is appreciated. If you want me to read your message, you can do it through there. Or super chat, always appreciated. If you want to join the show, there's a link to the Discord in the video description. Even if you're not listening to this live, you can still come into the Discord. We've got a dedicated team of professional baller trolls who are ready to welcome you. And they will be your best friend from day one, I promise you. If you want to make quick friends, come into my Discord and start talking to the baller trolls, because they're like, I don't know, very clingy, some of them. No offense to you guys. You're very loyal, but somewhat clingy. Anyway, let's see. We've got some people in Discord. We'll get to that in a minute. If you didn't see last night's show, Travis has a GoFundMe, and he is looking to raise a little money to continue his research. So if you want to support Travis, there is the link to his GoFundMe, and that's it. That's it for shilling. Got that out of the way. All right, let's go to Discord, see what's going on, and get this started. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Hello.
Hey, Brandon, what's going on, man?
Hey.
I'm gonna have an echo. Is there an echo for you guys?
Say something else.
No, it's actually for you because I'm multi-streaming on my channel right now. So StreamYard just told me be careful be careful when you share your sound because you will hear yourself. So if you don't hear yourself, we're good.
I don't hear myself. The audience shouldn't hear themselves. No, I think we're good for now. If you're good, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Who do we got? We got Travis, obviously. What's up, Travis?
Hey.
Bandsaw Bandit. What's up, Bandsaw?
Hey, Brandon. How you going, buddy?
Good. Hey, Bandsaw, I just want to let you know we're coming into spring up here, just in case you were worried about it. And it's starting to get warm. We're looking down, down the hill towards beautiful spring and summer. How's it going down there?
Mm-hmm. It is, it's magnificent. Absolutely magnificent here. We're coming into autumn, but I posted a picture there earlier on, Brandon, that I think needs some serious analysis a bit later on in general, but that just shows you what sort of days on the moment.
Ooh.
That little picture.
Well, we'll bring that up right after I get through these introductions. That sounds like fun. You've come to the right place for serious analysis, Bandsaw. You know that.
100%.
Jimbo, what's up, Jimbo? Oh, he must be having audio problems. If you're talking, Jimbo, we can't hear you. Science proves things. Jeremy, what's up, man? Hello. No, not there. Must have stepped away to the restroom. Okay. Bandsaw, where's that picture? I'll bring that up right now.
It's about 827
Oh, I see.
in
Yeah,
general.
this is important business. Okay.
It is. It most definitely. This is a serious analysis.
There we go.
Right.
That's my kind of analysis. Where's Aaron when you need him? Uh, so
Now,
I'm
can
guessing.
we triangulate those crepuscular rays there, Brandon? By any chance?
Oh, yeah, we got some crepuscular rays. Definite evidence of flat Earth here. Hear you now, Jimbo. You sound like you're a little quiet though.
Awesome.
Oh, that's better. Yeah, you're
Bonjour,
good.
bonjour.
Cool. What's up, Jimbo?
It's very mild here. Really mild.
Good.
No melting mild.
Here too. I love it. And what else do I see? I see the sun right here. Here's another flat Earth proof. The sun is squished up into an oval. Obvious signs of refraction going on here, and a mirage, right? Yeah. No.
Most definitely.
Absolutely. Let's see, what else do we got in here?
I think we have some sinking, possibly some looming there too. On the
Possibly.
edges. Yes.
A complete lack of curvature. I don't see any curvature. Well, there is some curvature here on this glass, but other than that, it's all straight. That looks tasty too. Damn.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that a lager or what do you got?
Heineken.
Heineken. Okay, yeah, I think it's a lager.
Heineken? What the fuck?
I know. I wasn't going to say anything, but you did. What the fuck, Bensaw?
What? Come on, I'm poor. What can I say?
Oh, not living there where that is. Look, you got that view right there. You're not poor.
Yeah,
Man. Come on.
bullshit.
You just got your priority. You just got your priorities wrong on what you spend your money on.
100%.
So that's the view right out of your house, huh?
Yeah, that's out of the kitchen window, mate. Yeah.
Damn, that's amazing, man. Very nice.
Yeah, I moved to paradise.
I guess so. Good for you. Is there a beach down there?
Oh yeah, a little private beach down.
Okay.
down
Kick this guy off.
Cool, man. So what's new with you, Travis? What, you simulcasting, I heard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had a good stream earlier today. I was ranting, but did a nice little breakdown of a guy who posted a PDF of a presentation of the math that goes along with an observation that Wolfie 6020 did. So I had posted something in Facebook, and this guy said, "Oh yeah, what do you think of this?" He sent me this file that he put together. So I did that today. Had a great stream. Clary was there. Smurfer Girl was there. John Studzilzik was there. Data showed up in the chat. I didn't have anybody else on because I would have gotten distracted. But yeah, it was a good stream. Good content. Absolutely fantastic content. So yeah.
All right. So if you want to check that out, go over to Travis's channel, The Plain Truth. If you're not familiar with it, he's got lots of good videos, analysis, observations over there.
Yep, and I've got a little banner. I've got a little banner going along the bottom about the U.S. tour and Etherband research GoFundMe, and the link is in my description. And you know what I can do is just jump over to your show real quick and put it in your chat too. So I'll be...
Okay. Sounds good, Travis. So I thought we'd start off tonight by picking up where we left off on the 100 proofs. See if we get through any of them.
Hey, hold on though. I actually went over this earlier in my show.
Yeah.
And I read the cover of the book, and it was just fantastic. I loved it. But I don't know if you have it on the copy that you have, but it says upright, downright, straightforward. Loved it. I love that little subtext there. Upright, downright, straightforward.
That's like the subtitle of the book.
Yeah. And it was published in Baltimore. So this guy, listen to this. Here's the top of this. I found this when I Googled it because I didn't hear back from you, but this is a really massive file because it takes a long time to load the pages. Hold on real quick.
Okay.
Maybe what I should do is share my screen.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me do that real quick. Hold on. Do that. Do this. Come back over here. Screens.
I see Left Lane joined us and SE Montreal. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good evening.
What's up? And Extreme Assist just popped in. What's up?
Hello.
All right. Oh, you're sharing now. Okay, let me bring that up then. All right. So far, I'm getting the dancing squares. Is that just me? There we go. I can see it now.
Okay. I'm not paying attention because I'm on my, they scanned it, right? So this is published in 1885, a challenge to the Johns Hopkins University, right? Okay.
Can you make it a little bigger? Is there any chance? If not, no worries.
That says upright down.
Is it just me or is Travis cutting in and out?
Yeah, no, he's
You got it
cutting
up?
in.
Travis, you there?
You're gone.
Yeah. Travis, you're cutting in and out.
I zoomed into like 250.
Your audio is cutting in and out, Travis. For whatever
50.
reason.
Travis, can you hear us? You're cutting in and out, man.
Are you there? There he goes. He must have heard us now.
All right, so I just stopped. I just stopped sharing because I figured that was dragging me. Am I back now?
Yeah, you are back now.
You are.
Wow, that's amazing that just sharing that used so much
Yeah, it was a PDF. Anyway, so I've got it here, but I'm not sharing it. So I'm just going to read it real quick. Anyway, one of the things that I was impressed with, because I went back and read over what we did yesterday, and if you remember, we were trying to figure out what he was talking about with his point number 7.
Yes, the
And
Chesapeake Bay thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has this really, really hilarious euphemism. He has a subtle way of calling bullshit on the whole globe model, and I thought it was hilarious. I can't. You know what? Can you bring it up on yours and just go back to point 7?
Yeah.
I can't scroll through it fast enough.
There we go. Am I sharing? Let me share again. Okay. You should see it now.
Okay. All right. So again, I think that the way that I described it yesterday is correct. The idea of saying hull down in their language is you can't see the hull. Okay, so when you can't see the hull, that's called hull down. The reason why you can't see it according to the utter fallacy of the ball model is because it's behind the water. And then he says, that's an utter fallacy, and you know why. And he says, for vessels have been seen and may often be seen, again presenting the appearance spoken of, and away, far away, beyond those vessels, at the same moment, the level shoreline, with its accompanying complement of tall trees towering up, in perspective, over the heads of the hull-down ships. So he's basically saying it's physically impossible. It's physically impossible for you to have a boat behind the curvature of the Earth and then farther in the distance, the shoreline up above where you can see it.
Right.
Okay, but then scroll down real quick. Okay, here we go. No, go. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Since then, the idea will not stand its ground when the facts rise up against it, and it is a piece of the popular theory. The theory, here it is, the euphemism, is a contemptible piece of business. That's a nice little way of saying it's bullshit. I thought that was hilarious.
The theory is a contemptible piece of business.
Yeah.
It's like 1885's version of it's total bullshit.
Yeah.
Bull crap.
I thought that was hilarious. So anyway, there you go.
Cool. Okay. Is there anything you mentioned something about John Hopkins? I think.
You know what I'm gonna do? I forgot. I got distracted because of this. So what did I do? I will post the PDF.
Oh, I see it. Here, I've got it.
Oh, you have it? Okay.
Yeah, I found another copy. Let me switch the screen I'm sharing here. But yeah, it says it's a challenge to John Hopkins University.
Well, it's Johns Hopkins, just to be specific. Johns Hopkins.
I want to smack you right now.
I'm just telling you, man.
I know.
It's always been Johns Hopkins.
I bet you call the Ohio, what is it? University of Ohio, the Ohio State University. Do you say that?
No.
Do you know that one?
No.
What'd you say?
Ohio State University, for some reason, they got this way of referring to it. They say the Ohio State University. It's really obnoxious. I guess it's a Michigan thing. Anyway. A challenge to the John Hopkins University, dedicated to Richard A. Proctor. Who the hell's that?
Yeah, that was great. Look at that whole thing. Okay, look at the second line under or the first line under William Carpenter.
Okay.
William Carpenter was a referee for John Hampden Esquire in the celebrated scientific wager of 1870. I was like, what was that? And I totally forgot to look it up.
Celebrated scientific wager.
Right.
What the hell's that mean?
Right.
All right, let's look this up first. Let's Richard A. Proctor. Who the heck is this guy? Richard Anthony Proctor was an English astronomer. He is best remembered for having produced one of the earliest maps of Mars in 1867 from 27 drawings by the English observer William Rudder Dawes. His map was later superseded by those of Giovanni Schiaparella and Eugene Antonialdi, and his nomenclature was dropped. He used old drawings of Mars dating back to 1666 to try to determine the sidereal day of Mars. His final estimate was 24 hours, 37 minutes, 22 seconds, and some change. Very close to the modern value. Huh. The crater Proctor on Mars is named after him. Now, what the heck did this guy have to do with the flat Earth? I wonder. And what does he mean by a referee? Referee for John Hampden Esquire in the celebrated scientific wager. You find anything yet?
I didn't look.
No? Well, we're going to do some live Googling. Celebrated scientific wager. Maybe if I add his name to it. Wonder what the heck these guys are talking about. Could be something none of us have ever heard of. Yeah, it's not coming up. Might take some actual research, some deep Googling.
Yeah, it's on page 15.
Yeah, okay. So that's interesting. In 1870, author of Common Sense on Astronomy, Proctor's Planet Earth, Wallace's Wonderful Water, The Delusion of the Day. That's an interesting title.
Right. I wonder if Wallace's Wonderful Water has to do with hydrostatics.
Maybe. Let's see here. Mark Collard says he has a link to the text-only version of that file. His PDF is of images photocopied from the book. That's what I'm using, is text-only, Mark. But thank you. He's got a link in here. Maybe this is different than mine. Let me check it out. Okay. Oh, yeah. This is very similar to mine. This lists them all, though. Okay, thanks, Mark. Back to this. The Delusion of the Day book. This is a free Googling lessons, folks. Yeah, it doesn't come up. It's another thing to dig into. The heck is that? All these books. These are all by. Are these by John Hampton, or are these by William
I
Carpenter?
think they're by. I think they're by William Carpenter. So William Carpenter, comma,
Yeah. Okay.
referee for, in the same author of.
Hurry up, dude. Fuck.
What's the matter with you?
What's wrong, Ruben?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I forgot I was on open mic.
There's going to be a road rage happening there, Ruth.
I'm just fucking around.
Careful. Let's see. Upright, downright, straightforward. Okay, this is cool. 25
Here we go.
cents.
Here we go.
What you got?
I'm gonna put this link. I'm gonna put this link in your message. This is the Wallace's Wonderful Water, I think.
Okay. Wallace's Wonderful Water, which is one of the books.
Oh yeah, this is William Carpenter. Okay.
The Country House Experiments of the Convexity of Water. Holy shit. Anybody ever seen this before? Says, sir, I am very much afraid were the straight edge of truth and honesty applied to some of the lines of your correspondent, Mr. Wallace, considerable deviation would be manifest in many points. Interpretation, Mr. Wallace is full shit. I will, however, notice but one instance. Mr. Wallace says that he never used the word rise in connection with these experiments. This is obviously in reference to something. We have no idea what it is, but it looks like, oh, wait a minute. Is this the Bedford level experiment? Is that what he's talking about here?
It just says surface of canal if convex, so could be.
It looks like it because he's got this little diagram down here, probably a little small for YouTube. Now, why wouldn't they allow me to make that bigger? It's got a telescope here, 6 feet, and he is aiming it at an angle. So he's aiming it at the top point of the last one, which is 6 miles away.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. You're never going to get a line of sight that is going to be horizontal from your eye line when you're looking across. I mean, that's the distance to the red roof house where I shoot. You know, so if you think about the fact that I can show you the shoreline. Middle of last week, I got some fantastic, clear, straight down. I mean, it was I was beside myself. I could not, because I wasn't watching the stuff while I was filming. So last week when I was going back over it, I was like, holy shit, look how, like, you could see, if I was standing there, you could have seen my entire body, my feet, you know, but there's no way that you're going to line up a theodolite on the shoreline and then aim it 6 miles away and say, yeah, I'm like with maths and with measuring, I'm, you know, Travis's eyes are 15 millimeters lower. Fucking retarded.
Gleam confirmed that this is about the Bedford level experiment.
Of course.
So this
Gleam.
is, I'm just looking through this. This is interesting. This is, it's like their version of videos back and forth in the 1800s. Said, but enough of this.
Can you make
I can't
Can you make that any bigger, Brandon?
No,
Or
it won't let me. I don't know why. Yeah, it's like stuck.
Fair enough.
No zoom in. But I will read it.
Sure.
But enough of this. There can be no question whatever that Mr. Wallace agreed to prove a curvature of the surface of water. There can also be no question that Mr. Wallace showed 2 points to all intents and purposes, equidistant from the point of observation, the 3 being in a regular series for the diagrams attested as to their correctness by his own referee, bear lasting witness to the fact. And over and above this, Mr. Wallace has himself admitted in your journal, where he not only asserts the fact, but absolutely bases an argument upon it. So they're doing this experiment and arguing about what happened during the experiment and the results. Too bad they didn't have YouTube. Huh. So there's definitely some more stuff to dig in here, guys. I'll put the link in the chat, both YouTube and Discord, so you guys can read it because it's so damn small on the thing.
Is it some sort of white paper or something like that?
No, it looks like it's an article in something. It's just like a little blurb, really. No idea what it was published in, but kind of interesting stuff. So yeah, there was some stuff going on here that I don't think I'm too familiar with back then. In this book, he dedicated this to R.A. Proctor, Esquire. Is that the guy we looked up? Yeah. So this guy, he dedicates this book on 100 proofs the Earth's not a globe to this dude, this astronomer who was mapping Mars. I'm assuming that this guy is a heliocentrist, right? Why is he dedicating his book to this guy? He was a Royal Astronomical Society member in 1866, so that's well before Wallace wrote his book. He was a secretary. Very weird. What the heck was going on back then? I don't feel like we've got the whole story. Like maybe we've just got a piece of the story of what was happening back then. Anybody else getting that suspicion?
Oh yeah, for sure. So just real quick, if you're interested, I just sent you that a screenshot of the video that I had the other day. I actually have the entire video up on my channel in high speed. So it's a really, I might as well just go get it and share it. But if you want to pull that up, just real quick, just for clarity's sake, you can see.
Pull up the picture you just posted?
Yeah.
Okay. It's out of focus.
I know. I'm not that good. But if you look at the bottom right, which is where the pavilion is, that's the shoreline right there. And if you go okay, so look, if you put your mouse right in the middle of that pavilion and then just drop it down to where the shoreline would be, if you go then just a little hair to the left where the the pavilion looks like it physically stops, and you're right there on the water, that's a boat ramp. Okay, that's a boat ramp. So we've got a direct line of sight straight across. And last year, I put this video up too. Last year, I was camped out, and the visibility wasn't that great, but I could see pretty much right here. And there was a boat that I thought was in the water. I mean, it was in the water, but I thought it was out away from the shore. It was right there on the boat deck, and on the boat dock, on the ramp. And then all of a sudden, I see these brake lights turn on, and the boat just gets hauled out of the water right in front of me. I'm like, holy shit! I've got a line of sight straight to the shoreline.
Oh yeah, you can see the whole beach in here. I'm zoomed way in
Yeah.
on this thing.
Yeah.
How
That's
far is it?
probably 5.85 miles or 5.8 some odd miles. Yeah.
And you're at what height?
5.5 feet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean you can clearly see the beach. Look right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty cool. And there's definitely some compression happening with this building. So odd compression. It almost looks like the bottom floor isn't as compressed as the second floor. Could just be the size of the floors, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah. I've got some crazy shit, man.
This pavilion looks out of proportion too. Like it's too, like it's squished down or something.
Oh man, listen, I went over this stuff today. If you go back and watch the stream from today on my channel, I have a panel of 4 different images of that same shot right there. You've got the full exposure of the pavilion to the right, and then another shot where it's compressed to all shinola. You wouldn't even know what it was if you didn't know. You would just see something, but you wouldn't have any definition to know what it was. So.
Sure.
It's gorgeous. I love this. I absolutely love this stuff.
Yeah, cool.
So
yeah, so more on that. Go check out Travis's channel. Sounds like you've got analysis from earlier today on there. So that's cool. All right, well let's dig into the 100 proofs, and we'll go to number 8. I think that was the next one, if I remember correctly. We didn't get very far last night. But that's cool. 8. If the Earth were a globe, a small model globe. Oh yeah, we did read that one. 9. As mariners take to sea with them charts constructed as though the sea were a level surface. However, these charts may err as to the true form of this level surface taken as a whole. It is clear, as they find them answer their purpose tolerably well, and only tolerably, for many ships are wrecked owing to the error of which we speak, that the surface of the sea is as it is taken to be, whether the captain of the ship supposes the earth to be a globe or anything else. Thus then we draw from the common system of plain sailing, PLANE, a practical proof that earth is not a globe. Well, that's interesting. First thing I noticed was that he used the term level in the first sentence. So another example of them using the word level to mean flat, horizontal. I'm assuming that's what he meant.
Yep. Shout out Bev.
And then he's blaming shipwrecks on...
Bev stopped buying subs, by the way. Bev's sub purchase has stopped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, he's blaming shipwrecks on the error from using flat charts versus that are projected from a globe. Is that what he's saying?
That part is confusing. Maybe you can read that part again?
Yeah. It is clear as they find them answer their purpose tolerably well, and only tolerably, for many ships are wrecked owing to the error of which we speak, that the surface of the sea is as it is taken to be, whether the captain of the ship supposes the earth to be a globe or anything else.
Yeah, he's saying basically it is what it is, flat and level. No?
I think so. But he's saying, he's obviously saying that the charts are all fucked up because they're projecting a globe onto flat maps, and that's fucking it up. That's how I read it.
So in the southern hemisphere, sorry, good evening. In the southern hemisphere, when you presuppose your ball, you're converging your lines, aren't you? Your longitude lines. So the distances reduce in size until you get to, say, the Antarctic Circle. What he's saying is because this isn't the case, they're out of distance. They're crashing into land masses that they think they've passed by because they're presuming that the Earth is a ball. On that presupposition, they've passed by that landmass, but ultimately they've travelled as far as they've travelled and they hit the landmass. So I'm thinking that's what he's referring to.
Oh yeah, that's a good. That could be very. Yeah, that would definitely cause an error. Good point.
I think
The
this goes back
convergence at the
to,
poles. Yeah.
I think we can look at people like Captain Cook and Magellan. When they sailed like the southern oceans, they were always, say, somewhere between 15, 30 miles out of their daily reckoning. So they hadn't travelled as far as they thought they had. So I think there's quite a lot of these kind of pieces of evidence in captain's logs sailing the southern seas where, again, they've taken longer to do it in certain circumstances than they presuppose they would do on a ball.
I haven't spent any time looking at the source literature, like the logs that you mentioned, or anything with Captain Cook or Magellan or anybody else. Have you spent some time digging into those and actually read like the source material?
I've had a little look. It's quite hard to get the actual source material, so it's kind of second-hand anecdotal. But the more common things that come up out of this is it takes 2.5 to 3 years to circumnavigate the southern oceans. You're going to clock up somewhere between 60 and 70,000 nautical miles, and you're going to be out of your daily reckoning. Those are like the kind of common stories, and then you get the anecdotal ones where sailors at sea haven't been when they're supposed to be and end up being shipwrecked.
Yeah.
So it's kind of second-hand, really. I haven't poured through his actual captain's log, no.
Oh, okay.
But that's just a common story.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, there's another avenue for research if anybody's interested. Digging up those actual captain's logs, that'd be interesting to find those source comments. I'm sure it's been done by somebody in the flat Earth community, but I'm not aware of.
But you hear those stories of being off course daily common. You really it's not the first time I hear that.
Well, no, I understand that. Yeah, but you hear the story go that it's a consistent thing where they're off like the same amount day after day.
I don't know about the consistent part, but the more south and north you go, you hear these stories. Now, in the old days, I don't know about today, but sorry, I forgot your name, bro. I'm really sorry. What he said about Captain Cook, the same thing, the same story.
Yeah. Okay.
So back in the day, Captain Cook was off by 15 to 30 odd miles each day. Jedi, what are sailors doing now to
be honest,
rectify that?
And to be
They
honest,
don't go down there.
No. The only thing that I can really refer to is, I think it's HMS Discovery. I know it begins with D. So it's HMS Discovery in 1982 went to do a southern polar expedition of the seafloor. All right, so scanning the seafloor, seeing what it's like, see what's down there. Now, again, ultimately, this vessel took longer than it was supposed to do. Again, it took 2.5 years. It clocked up a little bit more mileage than it was supposed to do if we were on a ball. Now, that information, maybe I can bring it in for you tomorrow. If you're around tomorrow, I can bring that information.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Jedi.
absolutely.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, no worries.
So what do you mean it was more mileage than it was supposed to be?
Well, let's put it simply, right? If you've got the Antarctic Circle on your ball, right, then that's a smaller radius than the equator, isn't it? But what we've got is a bigger circle, a bigger distance, so it doesn't appear to be that you're out of distance because you have to travel further than you would do if you're on a ball.
Yeah. Well, what do you have any of that information? Well, you said you were going to bring it back tomorrow. I
think it's somewhere down in my long list of stuff, my friend. So I don't want you waiting around for like 20, 30 minutes and I don't find it. So yeah, I'll definitely look into it and bring it in tomorrow.
Yeah, I heard you mention Captain Cook and something about 60 or 70,000 miles earlier. What was that?
So that was Cook and Magellan. So two different captains who went to sail the seven seas. The southern seas, not the seven. So again, depending on their course, whether they went north of Australia or south of Australia. I think Cook actually went north. But you can they say, right, again, anecdotal secondhand from me, but common information is between 60 to 70,000 nautical miles when traveling around this circle. 24,000
I've
around
heard,
the equator, and that's a problem.
well, I've heard that number quoted about Captain Cook, but when you go to Captain Cook's logs, that's his total miles that he logged over his lifetime, and not the circumference of the Antarctic.
So that's probably even leaving from the UK. You saying that as well, yeah?
No, that was like 3 different voyages, the sum of the 3 voyages.
Do you have evidence for that, Howard?
No, I've seen it posted, and it like had the tracks, you know, and it had like the tracks of his adventures, and it
right. So
told
that's
about the 3 different adventures.
Yeah. So I'm just asking. So do you know if that was a diagram that he drew, or it was a diagram of what someone else drew?
It had pages in his handwriting, so they came right out of his logs. Yeah. But as far as vouching for that, I couldn't do that because I didn't present it. I'm not even sure what the source was, except it was presented as Captain Cook's logs.
So I guess the interesting thing, the point that you're making is that it was cumulative, right? It was over his entire experience. But if it wasn't, then we would have to find a claim made by Captain Cook himself that says, on this voyage, not his accumulated total, we were out of reckoning. Okay, so if there is a simple record of a voyage where they logged hours where they were off, that to me would be significant. And to me, that would mean that they are operating on a latitude-longitude model of a glober that has equidistant points. But as Jedi pointed out, that if you have, I'm just going to say an AE map with the North Pole at the center, it gets wider and wider and wider the farther out you go. So you're never going to have the right coordinates. So that would be interesting.
Well, the diameter of those latitudes down there would be some 60,000 miles, on the flat map. But it's a point of contention, like when there's evidence presented like that, and then somebody goes and yanks up the actual logs and says, "Wait a minute, look here. It says right here in Cook's own words that the 60,000 were the sum of his voyages of his lifetime," and it creates, there's kind of a hitch right there in the program,
Sure, but if a captain is publicly making or his records are publicly available and it's cumulative, then my question would be, okay, is there any point in the record? Hold on real quick. Is there any point in the record that where he says our reckoning is off? Because that's the point of contention. I don't give us. Well, that's what I'm saying, though, right? So, listen, I'm not faulting you for it. I'm just talking out loud, right? So, I have not looked into this. I've seen what most people have seen. We've watched the videos, yada. So, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
pointless, right?
if you're still, hold on, Ruva. I'm talking, bro. Left lane. If you haven't investigated this yourself and you watched a video, you're just taking somebody else's word for it.
Yeah. It was a presentation. They picked it apart pretty good, but how it is driving and unloading and loading, and you're listening to parts of it, but there's some things that you pick up on, but there's been several times that this has been brought up over the past couple of years, and it always comes back to, what was the mileage? Was that his total log miles, or was that the mileage around the circumference of Antarctica?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the source material on that. I agree. Now we're getting echo. Who's that coming from? Oh, it's gone now.
Gone.
Well, they say that it wasn't just his trip around Antarctica. The excuse is he made stops along the way, and they even have some islands that he stopped at, and so on and so forth.
Well, I
And he
think
checked out the oceans.
it'd be an easy analysis if someone had his charts to look at it and figure out how far he really did go. Oh, without that,
Yeah.
kind of tough to argue about it.
I just want to say this is kind of my tongue in my mouth, but it's interesting to point out that all charts are flat and you can use a set square and a compass for a circle. Right, so it's flat and use a set square and a circle. So that's how you navigate on the flat surface. And using that, you get to where you need to be.
And it's been done for
paper,
over 4. Sorry, I thought you were.
No, all I was going to say is the surface of the paper isn't a ball. You don't have to presuppose any R value when you're, sailing across the oceans. They didn't do it for hundreds of years and got to where they needed to be. It's only when they presupposed the Earth was a ball that they ended up crashing into islands or land masses that they thought they passed. Sorry, guys.
Whoa. Okay.
Shout out Bandsaw Bandit, $10 Streamlabs. Thank you, Bandsaw. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Sweaty.
I'm gonna buy a beer, a couple good beers though. With that.
Yeah, make it Heineken.
Oh, I don't know about that. Number 10, that the Mariner's compass points north and south at the same time is a fact indisputable, as that 2 and 2 makes 4. But that this would be impossible if the thing were placed on a globe with north and south at the center of opposite hemispheres is a fact that does not figure in the school books, though very easily seen, and it requires no lengthy train of reasoning to bring out of it a pointed proof that the Earth is not a globe. And it's pretty clear what he's saying there. If you're on a ball, it should be pointing, and it's pointing towards the literal pole. It would point into the ground, right? I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's what he's saying. Yep.
Is that true? Can we say that?
Well, think about it. If you're on the south of a ball, if you're in the equator of a ball, and the North Pole is up, which way if you're standing right at the equator, which way should it point your compass?
See, it depends on how those forces flow over the surface of the Earth.
Well, we're working on an imaginary ball now.
Right. Yeah, that we are. It definitely makes sense on a flat Earth. I agree that there is some question, although they can just change their model to say it works, right? Essentially, anything that we say can work on a flat Earth, they'll turn around and rejigger their ball so that it works just like it would on a flat Earth. But I think it's a good point. Anyway. 11. As the Mariner's compass points north and south at one time, and as the north to which it is attracted is that part of the Earth situated where the North Star is in the zenith, it follows that there is no south point or pole, but that while the center is north, a vast circumference must be south in its whole extent. This is a proof that the Earth is not a globe. Anybody want to interpret that?
Well, that kind of piggybacks off the other one.
Yeah, to which it is attracted is the part of the Earth situated where the North Star is, so it points north, obviously. It follows that there is no south point or pole.
He's saying that it always points north, the compass, and that's true. It always points north. Or what we call north.
Right, it does. Yeah, so, okay, so if it always points north, it's always attracted to the North Pole, right? Compasses are not attracted to the South Pole, even in reality, right? In reality, compasses point north. That's where they're attracted to, not south, correct? It works like that in the north or south of the equator. Okay. So I guess.
Yep, I think that's what he's saying. Exactly that.
Yeah. So it's not attracted to a south point, and obviously on a flat plane with the North Star in the center, it's attracted to that, and the south is pointing, just away from that point, which is a large area, not a point in the south. All right. 12. As we have seen that there is really no south point, but an infinity of points forming together a vast circumference, the boundary of the known world with its battlements of icebergs, which bid defiance to man's onward course in a southerly direction, so there can be no east or west points, just as there is no yesterday and no tomorrow. In fact, as there is one point that is fixed, the north, it is impossible for any other points to be fixed likewise. East and west are therefore merely directions at right angles with a north and south line, and as the south point of the compass shifts round to all points of the circular boundary, as it may be carried round the central north, so the directions east and west crossing this line continue to form a circle at any latitude. Woo, that was a freaking mouthful. There's more to go.
Is he related to Rumpus, this guy?
I don't know. Why did they use so much punctuation? Amazing use of punctuation. A westerly circumnavigation is going around the North Star continuously on the right hand, and an easterly circumnavigation is performed only when the reverse condition of things is maintained. The North Star being on the left hand as the journey is made. These facts taken together form a beautiful proof that the Earth is not a globe. No idea what his point is, to be honest. Anybody?
That makes two of us.
I like this bit, though. The boundary of the known world, with its battlements of icebergs which bid defiance to man's onward course.
You know what I was thinking then? Imagine if he saw a modern icebreaker.
Yeah, no shit. I think they had icebreakers back then, but they weren't anything near what we have today.
An iceberg is an island of ice that you can go around and get out of its way. Right, just sail past it. If it's making any difference, again, we're talking about sailing and maybe sailing south. And Antarctica and there being a continent of ice, not necessarily an ice wall, but a continent of ice. Easy referring to that because icebergs just mean things you can sail around. Yeah, they're dangerous and you don't want to pass into them at night. Of course you don't. But I don't see them as being impassable. Not unless there's fields and fields of them constantly on the march.
Yeah, so I guess on both models, Antarctica would be a continuous boundary of icebergs, either way.
Yeah. So on both models, you go south. Antarctica's there, I guess.
Right.
You can go around. It depends whether you can go around it or circle inside it. That's the question, isn't it?
That's the question.
What's the distance around it? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so this one is interesting. An infinity of points. All right, let's go on. As the mariner's compass points north and south at one and the same time, and a meridian is a north and south line, it follows that meridians can be no other than straight lines. But since all meridians on a globe are semicircled, it is an incontrovertible proof that the Earth is not a globe. Yeah, I don't know what he's saying here.
Maybe we need a reread on that one.
Okay, so if you have a magnet and you've got a compass and you put the magnet on the table and you walk around it with your compass, you're going to walk around and the north is always going to face north, but the south is going to keep moving. It's going to keep drawing that circumference around you. So is that what he's talking about when he's saying, infinite points? because the south bit always moves, and those lines have to be straight. The presupposition is when you curve those lines and the south meets back at a point like the north does. Doesn't seem to act like that, I think is what he's saying. It's acting as if it's radiating out from that point, and south is at infinite points around that circumference.
Yeah, I think that's a good interpretation. I'm just wondering how it would be different, how he imagines it would be different if the Earth was actually a globe. What is the differentiating point that he's trying to make point out?
I guess, right, if you're on a flat Earth, you can just point out in a straight line and that's south. If you're actually trying to find the magnetic southern point, or if you're on your equator, the magnetic northern point, it's not going to be a straight line out in front of you. It's actually going to be a diagonal line, say 45 degrees downwards into the Earth, because that's where the north is, somewhere down there, through the Earth on the other side.
Yeah.
Interesting. Compasses don't work like that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. If you're on the equator, north is not the same as if you were on a flat circle, right? It's absolutely not the same.
Right. We have to imagine on a globe that, the direction it's pointing, it would curve around the ball. Literally on the ball, if we followed that line, we'd be going
or
out
go
into
through,
space.
like Jedi said.
Yeah. If compasses truly pointed to north and magnetic south, and it was on a ball, and you stood at the equator and you had a freely moving compass, your compass arms would be angling down at 45 degrees if they were pointing at the magnetic point that came out of the Earth.
Exactly my point. Yeah, well said, brother.
Yeah, I think an argument can be made that that's there's other possibilities for how it would work, but I get your point. My point was, even if you say, okay, the compass points north and it points south, it just, if you followed that, you'd have to curve around. The literal direction that the point of the compass is pointing is out into space somewhere on their model. So it's just, I was just kind of saying the reverse of what you were, really.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, the way we use a compass is like it's on a flat plane. North is straight ahead in a straight line. Yeah, what Jedi was saying, like, you can't go in a straight line. You've got to go dig a tunnel in a straight line to get to north or south.
Yep, exactly that.
All right, 14, parallels of latitude. If all imaginary lines on the surface of the Earth are circles, which increase progressively from the north center to the south circumference, the mariner's course in the direction of any one of these concentric circles is his longitude. The degrees of which increase to such an extent beyond the equator, going southwards, that hundreds of vessels have wrecked because of the false idea created by the untruthfulness of the charts and the globular theory together, causing the sailor to be continually getting out of his reckoning. With a map of the Earth in its true form, all difficulty is done away with, and ships may be conducted anywhere with perfect safety. So that one is exactly as we interpreted the other one, really.
Yep, the South and North Pole one.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. Okay. Why don't we do a couple more of these? The idea that
that would go ahead.
No, go ahead, Howard. That's
that
all
would
right.
just seems like a sort of a fantastic claim to say that ships in the southern hemisphere all wrecked because the lines were off. That's basically what I heard it say.
That's the claim he's making. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can talk about passing land masses. So let's say the southern continent of Africa, so South Africa and the southern portion of South America, so around the two capes, Hope and Horn. I think those are the names of the two capes. I think that primarily talking about getting past that. If we suppose we've got past that because we're on a ball, but because of the distance that we've actually travelled, that landmass is really further away than it is. So I haven't passed it, and now I've crashed into it. Now, I'm not saying that they, or I don't think they're saying that all of the ships have done this. Of course not. But I think just anecdotally, it's don't want to say common knowledge, but it's spoken about that. Yeah, ships have wrecked at sea because they're off their daily reckoning by 15 to 30 nautical miles. It's one of the excuses I think that they give at best.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any data for that. I was just kind of looking for some, like shipwrecks in the north versus the south in 1800. Probably not.
Definitely have to go before the building of the Panama and the Suez Canal, when lots of trades were having to go that route because there was no shorter journeys. You might have to go 1700s a bit. Definitely before the Panama.
Yeah, right.
Definitely before the Suez.
And Howard's got a good point. It would be nice to have some citations for that, or some kind of contemporary data to back that up. You know, people saying, yes, the South is more dangerous. You find yourself off course. If we had anybody saying that back then, that'd be interesting.
We can also point to other reasons for that as well. Sorry, I'll be really, really quick. They say the Southern Ocean is really, really rough, like massive waves, so lots of up and down, so you're going to travel further. And the winds as well, right? And they're not always favourable, and they're kind of the strongest winds on Earth. So it is a circular ocean. There's nothing breaking it. It just goes round and round. It's exceptionally rough. So there's lots of variables when we're talking about the distances that are travelled, especially using the technology that they had, and a string of knots.
Yeah, they could come up with all kinds of excuses. You're right. Like it's further between the land masses. You know, you're crossing the Pacific down there. You're going a long freaking way with only a few islands to hit along the way. So yeah, you could always come up with excuses. Okay. Well, if anybody knows of any contemporary sources that talk about that, let us know. 15. Is that the one I just read? The idea that instead of sailing horizontally around the Earth, ships are taken down one side of a globe, then underneath, and are brought up on the other side to get home again, is, except as a mere dream, impossible and absurd. This sounds a lot like the skateboard paradox to me. Very.
Shout out the skateboard paradox.
And since there are neither impossibilities nor absurdities in the simple matter of circumnavigation, it stands without argument a proof that the Earth is not a globe. Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous. You guys ever just sit back and just kind of think how ridiculous the idea of the globe is? Just the utter absurdity. The only reason I think we don't think it's ridiculous.
All the time.
Yeah, you do too. Yeah, is because we were born into it.
Yeah.
I'll give you an analogy. It's kind of a weird analogy. I have cats. I got them when I was kittens. They're as comfortable with me as, you know, any other member of my family. I pick them up, pet them, you know, do whatever with them. They're not afraid of me at all. You know, they're used to me. Now you go find yourself a wild cat or a wild animal that's never seen a human before, and they're never gonna come to you, right? It's gonna be nearly impossible to get them to do the same things because those cats are so used to you. They're used to the idea of you. They have this comfortability with you. But I think the wildcat is right in recognizing how dangerous it is to be around these humans. Does that make sense? It's kind of a crazy analogy.
Yes.
You don't have to say it makes sense.
I like it. No, I like it.
But
the part that you just read out about it being such an absurdity to travel underneath the ball and then come back up the other side again puts me in mind of a few conversations that I've had in the past about trying to explain the absurdity of what they want you to believe as opposed to the reality in which you actually experience. So the analogy is myself getting on an airport from London Heathrow and flying to Sydney, Australia. Let's just say it is 180 degrees on the other side of the ball. Now I get into the airplane, go across the runway, gain speed, get to an altitude and fly level across the Earth. and then land, descend in altitude, and land at Sydney Airport. However, they want me to believe that during this flight, I've actually turned 180 degrees upside down from my first position. So when I land in Sydney, I'm upside down from where I first was in London. Now, this is an absolute absurdity because I don't experience this turning upside down in reality. I just got in an aeroplane, flew level, and landed again.
Yeah, that's a good example. That is a really good example. Or the idea that we're, flying through how many different vectors, Essie? Was it 12?
Last time I counted was 11.
11 different vectors, millions of miles, going in this direction, that direction, spinning. Just the idea that we're on this giant floating ball in nothingness is just on its face, just a crazy idea. But then again, life is crazy. Life is weird. It is a very odd situation that we find ourselves in. I don't know what the alternative would be, but it is very surreal sometimes when I sit back and think about, what the fuck is this? You ever have those moments like, why are we even here? Why is anything even here? So
that's a very fundamental question, brother. Yeah, very, very good question.
Yeah. We got a super chat from Leapin4J. Start from the North Pole. 1 and 2 lines from north to south, 2 kilometers apart. They will be a lot more than 2 kilometers apart at the equator. Bent meridian lines. Start from North Pole and have 2 lines from north to south, 2 kilometers apart. They will be a lot more than 2. Okay. At the equator, bent meridian lines. How do you do that though? How do you practically do something like that? That's the question that I always get stuck on. That's like, you could have a ship, if you could measure it, you could have a ship go along the equator. On the globe model, it goes straight ahead. Doesn't have to turn at all. On a flat earth, it continually has to turn, right if it's going west, left if it's going east. But how do you measure it? They've got it's the great scale negator again. You're in an ocean, you're in a boat. It's not obvious if you're turning or not, unless you trust like GPS or something. So how do you even measure something like that?
So what Jedi just said. Sorry, Jed.
Well, you can use the gyro compass. Brandon.
I was going to say to what Jedi just said. Like if you stand straight up, right, and you only lean slightly, half a degree left or half, you know that you're leaning. Your internal gyroscope tells you that you are leaning, right? When you're sitting in a plane, you know when you are flying up. Right? You can feel yourself going in an upwards direction. You can feel yourself going in a downwards direction. And you can feel yourself when you're plateaued out and you're flying horizontally. Your internal gyroscope tells you that you are level, right? Every single
to a
time.
logical person, that makes sense.
But it also makes sense that everything is also oriented to the center of the globe. So, and as big as it is, you're not necessarily going to notice any change in attitude or anything like that, If you consider the size of it and things like that, and on the globe, you wouldn't necessarily notice any.
So, Left Lane, you can imagine yourself on top of the moon or on the bottom of the moon, and you can just imagine yourself being the same orientation somehow?
What would
did I break up? Did I come through there?
No, I don't know.
You did,
Nobody said
Montreal.
anything for about 5 seconds.
What would orient us as humans to the center of the Earth, Left Lane?
I think maybe Howard lost audio or something. Howard, you there?
He's going through a tunnel or something.
Yeah. Who was that asked that question? Was that you, Bob?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what would what would the reason be? He said it makes sense that everything is oriented to the center of the earth, but why would we as humans be oriented towards any particular point, specifically in space at all? Like, where would you get the idea that that's somehow sensible? We literally cannot sense that that's the case. And I don't know of any argument that could make that case, that it just makes sense that we as human beings would somehow be oriented towards one specific space or point in space. Why?
Well, it's easy for them. They think gravity center of a sphere, geoid. That's where their brain goes right away.
But that would be basically claiming that something inside of our bodies is specifically linked to gravity on what, like a spiritual level, or I mean, what is
Like a
that
magnetic
even
level.
mean?
Think of it like a magnetic level. That's how they envision it. You're stuck to this ball no matter where you are, and somehow the ball orientates itself that you're on top of it. You have to really imagine.
Yeah, no matter where you are, you're on top of the world.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Okay, so
you
he
get
seems
that,
to be
Bob?
back. Why did you say it makes sense that everything would be oriented towards the center of the earth? What would be the logical line of thought that brings us to the conclusion that makes sense, that we as humans would be oriented towards the center of the earth?
What do you mean? I'm not following. You mean the sensation of everything oriented to the center?
Okay, let me use an analogy. You just made a claim of, well, it makes sense that the answer is 4. I'm asking for you to explain to me the 2 plus 2. What is the thing that makes sense that the answer is 4?
Gravity.
Okay, so you're saying that gravity is specifically interacting with something inside of us to tell us down?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
Well, it's you're built to sense the downward force. That's what orients.
What part of you? What sense?
Your inner ear.
Your inner ear.
Yeah.
Meaning what exactly?
Well, just like Bansal was talking about, if you lean over, you can sense that you're leaning over, and like people that have vertigo, they have their and I don't know, I always say the word wrong. Your cochlea is screwed up, and like their whole world kind of turns 45 degrees, and everything wobbles around on them, and their sensory system's screwed up, But normally, you're sensing that downward acceleration, and you're oriented to it. It's how you balance upright. You know what I mean?
How does that
And you don't think you'd feel if
differentiate?
you were upside down, as in relation to a ball? You don't think you'd feel you were upside down?
What you mean to go to the other side of the ball?
Yeah, let's say now you were in Canada, right? On top of the ball, your sphere.
Yeah.
Now, you don't think you'd feel if you were in Australia, if you were to go all the way the other side, you don't think you'd feel that? You don't think your senses would feel that? The ones that you just mentioned?
Okay, wait a minute, guys.
Not at all.
Listen, Left Lane, think about what you're saying. You're saying that at every point on the earth, then, we would be feeling down, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that means it literally should not matter where we lean or how far we lean, because it should always feel down to us.
Not if you lean over. Not,
Why?
I mean,
You're just
lean
moving several
forward or
inches
lean back.
across the surface of the earth. That should still feel down.
Compared to where your feet are planted, it's
Okay,
not.
So now you're saying
You're at an
something
angle.
in your ear connected to your feet. Really?
It is. Your brain is connected to every part of your body. Come on, man.
You didn't say the brain. You said your inner ear.
The inner ear is a sensory. You got sensory. You got inputs and outputs. Yeah.
My brother suffered from vertigo after having brain cancer and having surgery. It could be because your brain has been affected, and so your movements will be off also. It could be triggered by your head movements. It doesn't have anything to do with gravity. It has to do with you moving your head and your system being off. It has nothing to do with gravity. You can't prove that.
That's your sensory. Yeah, its sensory system is screwed up.
All right. Well,
Okay, so it sounds like it doesn't have anything to do with gravity at all. Then it sounds like it has to do with your brain.
Right. Correct.
What does it orient to? You know, it has to have something to orient to.
It actually orientates to level. So it's the fluid
Yeah,
in your
well-
ears. So you've
Well,
got
there
a
you go.
level.
There you
to
go.
see the thing. Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, for example, when I got in my airplane from Heathrow and went to Sydney, level all the way. That's what you sense. You don't sense anything else. But there's
Absolutely.
also the
Yeah,
part.
it's about balance.
Exactly. The other part of your brain that controls this is called the cerebellum. So this deals with all of your other sensory things as well, like your eyes, where your feet are placed, all of these types of things. But ultimately, your balance, your level, comes from your inner ear, the fluids in the pockets, basically, and the hairs that detect them.
Yeah, that's the sensor. Yeah.
See,
what is the
okay, but
difference? Let me ask a
left
question.
lane.
Let me ask a question, then I'll
It
get back to you, Bob.
sounds-
Bob, hold on. So, what is the differentiator between your globe, Earth, and a flat plane? You said that down is towards the center of the Earth. How do you know that,
That's not always true either.
Howard?
You can be.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, what do you mean? How do you know that?
Well, you said that down is towards the center of the Earth.
Yes.
How do you know that?
Well, that's just the way it is.
That's what their model tells them. That's what they believe, Brandon.
Right. So
Geoid.
is that the answer, Howard? Is just that's what your model is?
That's the way it is. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else how else to answer that. That's the way it is.
Well, how could I, in my living room here, determine that down is towards the center of the Earth and not towards just down on a flat plane?
Well, see, there comes that gray area. Is how could what gives you that direction on a flat Earth?
Down is
That's
down.
the way it is.
Down is down.
That's the way it
Okay.
is.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
How'd you like that, Howard?
So that tie, no, I like that. See, that ties into, and I think I dropped when the thing is, if you flew from London to Australia, it would be just as if you were flying across a flat plane.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had Blue.
Because that's the experience, isn't it?
Blue has
Yes,
said that in
and
it's just
detail,
as
that there's no difference
Yeah.
whatsoever. There would be no difference.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Bob, did you have something else for Howard on this?
Yeah.
subject?
Okay. So back to this idea that your brain is detecting that it's different from your feet, because that's another addition to the claim. If I plant my feet firmly on the ground and only lean the upper part of my body, why is my brain then still detecting the fact that it's something different? It should just know that my feet are on the ground, and gravity should just feel like down then.
I'm not following that.
Can I ask a
I
really
had
silly
asked
question?
If
that.
you lean left or right, I had asked you why your brain is detecting it as anything different than down. If you're just moving along the surface a little bit, left or right, it should just detect it as down. You said because it's different than your feet. Your feet, you would be leaning, and it detects that because it's somehow connected to where your feet are.
Well, I mean, no, you lean. If you lean over, you're leaning over. I'm not sure what the contention is.
But think about this. If I put my feet firmly, flatly on the ground and only lean the upper part of my body, my feet are not leaning, but the upper part of my body is leaning, and my brain still detects it as something different than just down.
Well, it's a matter of being balanced. You can balance. I mean, you can lean the upper part of your body, but if you don't counter that with the lower part of your body, you'll fall over.
Listen, left lane, I don't know if you understand. It sounds like you're claiming that we have some sort of a magical or spiritual link to the force of gravity that lets us know what down is.
It's called your inner ear. I don't know what else to tell you. And it's not magic, and it's not spiritual. It's not supernatural. It's your sensory system.
You're not providing any sort of link to the actual actions that we take.
Yeah, I'm
You're
not.
just
I'm not
saying that
following
it's your
your
inner ear and
logic
then
on that.
providing nothing.
Yeah, your inner ear senses balance. If you lean over, you'll fall. If you go too far, you'll fall over. I don't know what to tell you on that.
Okay,
I mean,
what's that have to do with gravity? You didn't mention
because
gravity at all the entire time you just said that. So it sounds like you
you'll
don't need
fall
gravity.
down. That's why you will fall down. If it weren't for
Okay,
gravity, you would fall down.
detecting down has nothing to do with gravity. Gravity would just cause you to fall down if you don't properly detect down.
If you didn't properly detect it, you wouldn't be able to keep your balance. And if there was, if it wasn't for gravity, balance wouldn't matter. You'd float. Yeah.
So you
I don't.
that gravity has nothing to do
I
with
can't say
detecting
that I
what down
agree.
is.
No. Absolutely not. I do not agree.
Sorry, we're not detecting down.
Is
We're
that not what
detecting
you
level.
just said?
No, I'm not sure how you're misconstruing that, but I'm not following your logic.
Okay, is anybody else following what I'm saying, or am I confusing everybody?
No, I'm with you. I'm
Okay.
just wanting to point out that the brain isn't detecting down primary, it's detecting level primary and distinguishing down relative to you and your position. So you're detecting level, not down.
Right, but his claim is that we are detecting down, and no matter where we are on Earth, we always detect down towards the center of the Earth. That should mean that no matter where I put my head, it should always detect it as down. But then he added to it and indicated that there's something to do with the inner ear and a connection to where your feet are. But now we've established that or at least it seemed like he was establishing that you don't need gravity for that to take place.
It's just balance. Yeah. Well, if there wasn't any gravity, you wouldn't worry about balancing because you'd be floating.
Based on what exactly?
The lack of gravity. I've always tried to stay respectful and try to carry the conversation as far as I can. But I get to a point that I'm like, there's no way that you can deny gravity. But
yes, there is.
Okay, listen.
I mean, I understand that.
Left lane,
you just made a claim about not gravity.
Left lane.
How do you demonstrate the not gravity part so we know that what you're saying about not gravity is accurate?
Are you floating?
No. You just said without gravity, we wouldn't worry about falling
Oh,
over.
you have to think,
do you demonstrate that?
Dole, think for a minute.
I'm not talking to you, Shill. I'm talking to
yeah, because you're not. Because think for a minute. If there's no gravity, yeah, of course not. Because I don't put up with your shit. Left lane. Left lane. Don't put up with these guys. He's an idiot. He's a complete and total moron.
Seriously,
Nobody into the conversation, you moron.
up until
They were
now.
having a
So are
good
you. So are
conversation
you,
without
Montreal.
you.
So are you, Montreal. So are you, Montreal.
No,
because
can we not descend into this
Learn some
already?
manners.
We've only just
Learn
jumped
some
on.
manners.
yeah, learn some manners.
Hey,
no, he's
Nasa show. What the fuck, man? Those guys were
Well,
going
listen,
back and forth. He's asking questions.
Okay,
you may not like the
fine.
questions.
He's asking dumb questions.
That's fine.
He's asking dumb questions.
People ask dumb questions all the time, and we give plenty of room, more room than people would like me to give to ballers to speak their mind and ask questions. So, let's let them have this exchange.
What's this about demonstrate no gravity though? That's bullshit, and he knows it.
Well, gravity is a loaded word, though. So, Bob, continue with.
Okay, there is a downy force on the Earth that pulls you down. What do you want to call it? Downity? What do you want to call it?
I'm not talking to you, Shill. I thought we established that already.
Well, because you don't like. Yeah, you have no answers for me. That's why you don't talk to me. Of course not.
Waste of my time. I would like.
I'm a waste of your time.
So Bob told you he doesn't want to talk to you. I told you pipe down. The host of the show told you something, but you still think that you can speak, right, Pate?
Yeah, I can speak.
I'll give you an opportunity after Bob and Howard are done going back and forth. Paid Nessa show. We'll give you an opportunity to respond. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. You made the claim, Left Lane, that without gravity, we wouldn't worry about falling over. How do you demonstrate not gravity without gravity?
You really want me to answer that?
Yes, I would like you to tell me how you're going to demonstrate what it's like without gravity, so we know that your claim about without gravity is true.
There's a couple of ways you could do it. There's maybe 3 ways. The vomit comet, which has got about a 30-second interval of canceling gravity, and then you can be on the space station in orbit in free fall, or you can get far enough away from the Earth that you don't experience its gravitational field.
So we'll start with the ISS. Have you been to the ISS?
No, sure haven't.
So you can't demonstrate that. That's not a demonstration. Have you been far enough away from Earth to not feel the gravity?
But I do understand the
physics. So you can't demonstrate that either. As far as the vomit comet, does this vomit comet eliminate gravity?
It cancels it out by downward acceleration.
Does it remove it?
Along with it. It cancels it.
So does it remove it?
It cancels it.
Okay, so you have literally never experienced or demonstrated without gravity. That's not.
Oh yeah, I have. I've jumped off. I've jumped off a 60-foot cliff.
None of them are a demonstration of not gravity. One's a cancellation, and the other 2 are things that you can't do. So you haven't.
See, what you're arguing there means nothing. It's so what? I mean, you're still sitting firmly planted to the surface. You're still planted being gonna let me talk, so you're just gonna overtalk me. You're still planted firmly to the surface of the Earth.
Yes, I am.
Now, tell me why.
Because I'm firmly planted to the Earth. That's why.
That's a non-answer.
No, it isn't. Here, I'll explain it very carefully, okay? Why is a tree made of wood?
Non sequitur.
Because it's made of wood. That's it. That's all you have.
Non-answer.
The only answer you can give to a question like that. Because that's the way it is. Why is a rock made out of rock? Because it's a rock. That's why. That's just the way that it is.
It's a non-answer.
It's not a non-answer. It's literally
that's all I can say.
We have.
I understand that.
You're asking why a thing is. That's the answer.
You're not
we have, because it is.
Well, I've got an answer for it. I can calculate it. I've got an answer for it.
No, that's
I've got an answer for it. But y'all all know it. I mean, we could go into all that, but Bob Dole is not moving in an answer.
We're looking for the cause, not the phenomena. So you calculating the rate of fall is the phenomena, the effect of the thing happening.
You're asking me for a purpose or a reason, a cause, some direction that somebody provided to this thing, rather than telling me how it actually takes place.
Yeah, the answer to that question, why are you planted on the Earth, and why are you not floating, just because is not an answer.
Yes, it absolutely is an answer. Okay, unless you can provide me a verifiable, credible, repeatable answer to why trees are made of wood that is more detailed than because they are, then my answer is perfectly fine. So please go ahead and provide a more detailed answer than because they are, that is verifiable, credible, and repeatable.
See, that's just silly to me. Why are trees made of wood? What does that got to do with the price of grapes in China?
It's the exact same type of question. Why is a thing the way it is? That's the same question.
Yeah.
If you answer mine, I'll answer yours.
If you're going to stay at that level of simplicity, then I don't think we can have a logical conversation.
It's exactly the same level of simplicity as your stupid question. So if you don't answer mine, I don't answer yours. Move on to something else.
Well, I'd like to
move on to something else.
I'd like to take a shot here, which is to say that I do believe that something is ordering. For some reason, we can see the effects of it. Matter is ordered on the face of the Earth, and in a downwards and an upwards alignment. And now you can tell me a story about why that's happening, and I know that your model attempts to explain it, but all we have is the same effects. So what my question earlier was what is it that makes you think that things are going towards the center of the Earth? I can just say, why did things order up and down? That's a law of physics. Things order up and down on the face of the earth.
Yes.
That's it.
And you can measure it. And you can measure it.
Yeah, but that's just the measurement of the phenomena. So we want to know what is causing the thing to happen. So you drop something. That's the effect. You can calculate its rate. Can I please?
Yeah. Go ahead.
You can drop something, right? That's the effect. You can calculate its rate of fall. That's the calculation of the effect happening. What we need, if we're doing science with this stuff, is the cause of the effect. So just pointing at the effect and saying it's, you're on the ground, therefore gravity isn't good enough. Right? Just because we drop something, you need to prove the cause. So therefore, you need to prove that the energy on the object, the rock, is being given to it by the earth that is not in contact with and underneath. Yeah. So you need to demonstrate gravity and be able to physically manipulate, which means turn it on and off again, which means change the rate of fall of the object.
Yeah, that's that part of being able to change the rate you can't do. However,
no kidding.
And you know where I'm going, but you can control that variable by orienting two masses on a horizontal and measure the attraction between the two.
Yeah, so we're going to go to Cavendish very quickly.
That's the only place I have to go with it.
Yeah, well, it's the only place where this actually happens. You've also swapped around the direction of movement. So horizontal. Don't actually observe this in nature, right? And you presuppose that any effect that is happening is just because of gravity. What are all your controlled variables? But again, not a scientific experiment.
But you say we don't observe it in nature, but I say we observe gravity everywhere in the universe.
What, horizontal attraction?
Well, you can say it all you want, but we could just as easily say we observe invisible goblins taking care of things going down and orbiting. We could also say that and have just as much evidence as you do.
No, you can't.
Yes, I do.
No, you do not. Stop it.
I can just
okay, I'm sorry. I gotta no.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead, Shill.
May I speak now?
Go ahead, Shill. Offer your rebuttal.
This is the most ridiculous argument I have heard on the flat Earth, and that's saying a lot. My God, invisible goblins.
Oh.
Yeah, invisible. You have proof of invisible goblins?
You have just as much proof as gravity.
Incorrect.
Argument.
Yes, I do. Hey, are you
no, Cavendish experiment. Cavendish experiment.
Right now?
I am. Actually, no, I don't have to touch the earth. I'm actually touching my ground.
There you go.
Nope, sorry.
That's a good
Incorrect.
enough excuse for him. It's a good enough excuse for me. Invisible goblins.
Nope. Cavendish.
Yeah, a demonstration of invisible goblins. Good call.
Nope, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you give me the hypothesis for the Cavendish quote unquote experiment, please?
What do you mean the hypothesis? Mass attracts mass. How about that?
Okay, so mass, that's a convention, not a physical thing, and you can't have mass as both your independent and dependent variable as your cause.
What are you talking about? No, stop this. Stop this.
Okay,
mass is very physical.
Okay, so define it to me.
Don't do this QE experiment bullshit on me, because you obviously show that you don't know what an experiment is once you start talking QE bullshit.
Well, no, let's before we even go to QE, let's go through what a scientific experiment is.
No, it's not. You don't know what it is.
Mass.
No, stop it.
You cannot have mass as your cause and your effect. I'm sorry. Well, that's fine.
We're not having mass as cause and effect. You have mass as the cause. The effect is the attraction. You can calculate the G force.
Can you define
what? I'm not. See, I'm like Left Lane. I know you guys can't be taught. I'm just here because you guys are just talking shit.
What you're talking about. I've asked you to give me
you know what? Hold on, my phone's
hypothesis. Ringing. Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, good.
Well,
leaving for a little bit.
What is the wisdom of
What a waste of time that guy is.
Wisdom? Wow.
Just talking.
You can define stuff. Stop it. You can't define this.
Stop.
Just talking about
gravity. Just stop it. Just stop it.
In the meantime, your thing about the vomit comet is very real. Tell me how relative density changes when you go over the parabola in the vomit comet, please. Hello, someone?
What's the
Who's you
question?
talking to?
Say it again.
How does relative density change when you go over the parabola in the vomit counter?
I thought we were talking about mass.
It doesn't. There.
That attracting.
Thank you.
Well,
Right.
now
But
going on
yet
to this.
you have microgravity for the 33 seconds as the airplane goes over the parabola.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you have invisible
Yes,
goblins,
you do.
remember?
No, Carl, you have microgravity.
No,
But
you
so
have
invisible goblins only show up. Invisible goblins only show up during the top of the parabola, huh?
It's weird.
Interesting.
Like they change what they're doing.
Yeah,
at that point.
that's
weird.
yeah,
Invisible goblins, dude, they're
right. Why don't you write about that? And that's a really great. And you think, you call me stupid.
Bob,
My
can
God.
you get closer to your mic a little bit, please?
I did not call him stupid. I think he is. I mean,
I'm stupid. I'm not the one putting invisible goblins into effect. What's next going to be next? Unicorn farts?
What?
Well, that is
what are you going to invoke next? Unicorn farts?
That's what that is. What makes Cavendish?
No,
masses
incorrect.
move,
Mass
is the
attracting
unicorn
masses
farts.
of Cavendish.
That's not what
sorry,
his
no.
hypothesis was, by the way. You're wrong.
Doesn't
about
matter what
that.
the hypothesis was.
No.
Hold on.
It matters
Yes,
what you
it does.
can calculate from it.
Hold on.
No,
No,
incorrect.
it does matter what the hypothesis is.
thing
If
that
you're
I'm gonna
doing
No,
science.
incorrect. Because from the hypothesis, you
Who
can
cares
calculate
about the hypothesis?
from the
It ain't
hypothesis.
important. Come
No,
on.
because
They should.
you could
Why do you
actually
have
do
to
his
keep
experiment.
talking
Not you,
so much?
Montreal. You can do his experiment because you don't
Why
have
do you
enough intelligence to. But I mean, look at Big Blue. I mean, he's redoing the experiment right now, as we speak.
Big
In fact,
Blue.
if you want to prove the Earth is round, on March 20th, which is 17 days from now, do the Eratosthenes experiment and prove the Earth is round.
It doesn't
LOL.
prove the Earth's round.
Where'd you observe? Sorry, where'd you observe Massa Convention doing something?
Excuse me?
Where'd you observe Massa Convention doing something?
Massive convention doing something. I don't understand.
Yeah. Where'd you? Yeah, exactly. Of course you don't understand because you need something happening. Your dependent variable. A phenomena.
Not.
So
Yeah.
of course you can't see that. Of course you
On
don't
what?
understand.
On what? On what? On what? On what?
I've just asked you. I've just
In
said
what?
you didn't
What,
understand.
Cavendish?
So,
Cavendish
yeah,
or
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
Cavendish,
I've
you
asked
can
you
see.
didn't understand.
Yeah, actually, the
So mass. Where's the phenomena?
you notice that the beam moves.
Things move.
The beam moves. The beam's attracted to mass. Mass attracts mass.
So that would be a presupposition then. You need to
No,
isolate these
incorrect.
things.
That's called a hypothesis. Does mass attract
No.
mass? I
No,
built
a
I built
hypothesis would be an educated guess in what causes that to happen. Right? Mass
no,
and
actually.
mass, two separate. Actually, yes.
No, mass
actually, yes.
attracting mass. Sorry,
That's what
incorrect.
the prediction is.
What's your
predict what's
education
causing that to happen.
level, might I ask? Have you
Here we
studied
go
any science at
again.
all?
Here
Have
we
you
go.
studied any
This is
science
all
at all?
you've
Have
got.
you?
This is all
Have
you've
you
got,
studied any
isn't it?
science at all?
This is the only place that you can go. You
Have
can't
you
have
studied
the
any science at all?
logical
No, 'cause if you
conversation
knew,
with me.
if you
can
knew what you were talking
It's
about, you
impossible
wouldn't
to
be
do
saying this bullshit
Like,
that you're
dude,
saying.
This is why you're doing this.
Hey, Nessa,
Offshore red herring.
you're attacking his education, but you're stating the hypothesis wrong in the Cavendish experiment. You don't even know what you're talking
Fine.
about.
Tell me what the hypothesis,
Well,
the
it's
original
not mass
hypothesis in the
attracts
Cavendish
mass. That
experiment.
was an input. He took Newton's law of universal gravitation as an input into his experiment. Do you know what he was trying to do with that? Not experiment.
Yeah,
Do
he
you
was
know what
trying
he
to
was trying
figure
to
out the
do?
mass of the Earth. You're trying to figure out the mass of the Earth. I understand.
No, he was trying to figure out the density of the Earth.
Same difference. You have to figure out the mass in order to figure out the density.
Oh no, not same difference. Not the same thing at all. Density is not attracting things to it. Now is it?
Oh, because density doesn't do anything. Density is just a number.
No, Paige. You've just demonstrated you don't really understand what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Frustrating.
That's
It's
funny.
really frustrating.
Compared to you,
No,
who you
it's
definitely know
not
what you're talking
funny.
about, right?
It's not funny. That's the
I know it's
point,
not
and that's
funny.
the problem. No, you said it was. Follow what you are saying yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So density is not going to attract things to it. So mass and density aren't the same thing.
Mass and density are related. Density is not
they're
nothing more than mass
related
per
now. So,
volume.
yeah, I get you. Related, but not the same thing. Show me density attracting something to it.
No, density doesn't. Well, mass attracts
Of
it.
course it
Density is
doesn't.
just
Oh, mass. So
per
they're
volume.
not the same thing then, are they?
Mass per volume is density. You understand that?
That's an
Or do you not?
equation. I'm asking for science, and I'm asking for the observation of density
What do you
attracting
mean
to it,
science? I
where
just
you
gave
say,
you these.
No, you
What do you
gave
mean
me
the equation? We speak in math. Math is a language. I'm sorry you don't speak it.
No, we speak in math. I'm asking for a physical demonstration and experiment, a hypothesis test that demonstrates your claim that gravity mass is attracting shit to it.
That's called the Cavendish experiment. Yes.
No, it isn't. So you don't have a
Yeah.
phenomena in nature. Where's the
It is.
Where's the
Hey,
phenomena in nature? The thing happening. You said it's mass.
okay.
Hold tight.
Okay, how about,
You said
about
it's
your,
mass. You said your phenomena's mass. Your dependent variable's
no,
mass.
if I'm not,
Hey, let's dumb it down. Let's dumb it
if I'm
down.
not,
Look here. All right, Jedi.
Yes,
On the
ma'am.
cavity, when blue moves the big balls in proximity of the small balls, they move towards the big balls. Why is that?
I don't know. Does this always happen? At a calculable, always rate?
Always.
yes,
No, it doesn't.
always.
This is the problem
Yes, it
with
does.
step 4 of the scientific
Always.
method.
Always.
Can I
Stop with
apply
step
it?
4
No,
of
it
the
doesn't.
scientific method.
You
My
don't even know
God.
what it is.
You don't know what
So
this
this
method
is-
is. If you come up with there's
Why-
step 4 of the
why-
scientific
why do you
method, it
just
proves you
keep
don't know what the
attacking
scientific
me?
method is. Because
Yes, I
you
do.
are.
I keep trying to elucidate to it. You keep telling me I'm
No,
wrong
you're
and then
just
ad
telling
homing me
trying to
because you don't want to have the
I'm not ad
conversation.
hom you. I'm telling you,
Yes,
you're
you
wrong.
are.
I've yet
Several
to ad
times.
hom
This
you.
is all you've got. You are
Well,
stupid.
how have I ad hom
You
you?
don't understand. I'm literally writing it down for you. How do you not get this? Listen to yourself. I've told you to do this twice now.
This 4-step prescription of your scientific method is an introduction to 6th grade science. It is not. It does not represent science as a whole. There are entire books written on the scientific. It's a way to strangulate to prevent anybody from doing anything. That's all it is.
That's why I asked you your education level, but you don't want to respond to it.
You know, I just want a physical demonstration of a hypothesis test, and you've clearly demonstrated you don't know what a hypothesis is. You
I
don't
know
know
what a
what a
hypothesis is.
dependent
You
is.
don't know what a hypothesis is.
No. A dependent and independent variable, a cause and effect, cannot be the same thing. A convention made up by man of mass.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Mass
mass
is a
doesn't
real thing.
happen. Does mass
Mass
happen?
isn't real. You think mass isn't? You think mass doesn't exist?
Answer this question. Does mass happen?
Yeah.
Is mass a phenomena? Mass happens. Is it a phenomena? Do you know what a phenomena is? Do you know you have to have a cause of something happening? That has to be something different to what it is. So you can't have mass, and mass is the same dependent and independent
What the hell are you
variable.
talking about?
All matter has mass.
You don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
All matter has mass, and I don't understand what I'm talking
No,
about.
you
I've
don't
just clearly
understand what you're
defined
talking
an
about.
independent and
No,
dependent variable
you've defined
for
what you think is an independent variable.
And you haven't given me anything.
Is time an independent variable?
Just nuh-uh. Is time an independent variable? No, because I cannot manipulate it.
Time is an independent variable.
Time can be.
Well, I can't manipulate it.
How
It'll
long
be a
does it
control
take?
variable at best.
Actually, you can
How
manipulate.
long?
See, the time is the passage of time, not just
Yeah,
time.
and all you're
The
going to do
passage
is
of
have
time.
something happening over that passage of time. So
That's correct.
the thing causing
That
the
is
thing
the
to happen
passage of
over a
time.
passage of time, but the passage of
That's true.
time isn't the cause. It's the thing that's causing it to cause it over the passage of time. Time
What?
allows the action to happen. Time
Yes,
allows
correct.
the action to happen. Yeah,
Yeah,
but time's not an independent variable. It's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's not a physical
Oh
thing,
my
is it?
God.
Is it
Time is.
physical?
You don't think time's a physical thing?
No,
Does
'cause you
time make
cannot
the
give it
baby
to me in a
grow?
jar.
Or does the mom make the baby
It's
grow?
also defined as a convention, so not physical. So
Oh
no, you
my.
cannot be doing science on time because you cannot physically manipulate it. The best
So
you
you
can
can't
do
be
is
doing
control
science
it.
over time. Are you crazy?
No, the best you can do is use it as a control variable over time.
It's not.
for
No,
the
it's not a control
action to
variable. It's
happen.
time is always an independent variable.
It's not physical. You can't manipulate it.
Yes, you can. You can manipulate the passage of time.
It's not physical. An independent
You
variable
can manipulate
must be
the passage of
physical,
time. See, when you
not
see
a
time in
convention.
an experiment, they mean the passage of time. Only morons understand. Don't think that. When they don't put the
and only
passage of time
morons
because
think
they
that
don't want.
time is physical.
Time is
Give me it.
physical.
Well, then give it to me in a jar and paint it red.
Please.
If time can be an independent variable, what experiment couldn't time be the independent variable in? Time is involved in everything. I
Yeah,
can say that
everything,
time is
every
the
single
independent
thing,
variable,
but
the
it is
cause of
not
anything
the
if we're going to
cause.
use that.
Yeah, it's not the cause.
I agree.
The thing that you manipulate is the cause, exactly.
Can you name an experiment, a paid NASA show or Howard, where time isn't one of the variables?
That's right.
Can you?
That's exactly right. If you turn time off, everything stops.
Right. So
However, a
I
lot of
think
times you don't worry about the passage of time. You work looking at other variables. The
Why?
passage of time.
Time's still passing. Why aren't we worried about it?
That's correct.
I could say time is the cause of everything if I was going to do that.
But you can do.
You observe
like,
things over time and plot them
Yeah, here's
against
the-
time.
Here's an experiment.
Okay.
I'm a ground, and I've got to sod this apartment complex, and I want a fast growing grass, and I asked the horticulturalist, how long does it take this species of grass to grow from seedling to, and he could conduct an experiment. He could control the variables of fertilizer, water, and light, control those variables, your control variables, and plant the seed and allow it to grow and monitor it, and say he's going to look at it 3 times a day until it grows. And those are be points of data. And time is on the x-axis as the independent variable. Bam. And it's scientific.
But is time what made the grass grow, or was it water, sunlight?
Well, it occurred over time, so yeah, time was
but everything occurs over time. Everything occurs over time.
If you're going to
in
say
this
that,
case, you want to graph it over time.
Right,
Yeah, well,
exactly.
say-
So everything happens over time. Therefore, time is the cause of everything.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily.
We just solved all the scientific problems of the world.
Yep, time caused that to happen.
I mean, I've in class, in college, I've got like 4 or 5, and we did multiple experiments. I would have to go get them to reference exactly what we did. Many times did we plot time on the x-axis. X-axis would be your independent variable. Many times, and some of it was observational, and some of it was cause and effect, where you're talking about your IV/DV control, and you manipulate like flipping a switch on and off. But science is not as simple as a 4-step method.
It might be a strict standard, Howard, but at least it's a standard. At least it weeds out the pseudoscience.
It is a standard of one, like I said, introduction to 6th grade science, and to demonstrate the stringent process of the scientific method. But there are entire books on the subject, and it's not as simple as a 4-step process.
You ever heard the term KISS? Keep it simple, stupid. Sometimes the most simple and easiest way of doing things is the absolute best way to do them.
Absolutely. I agree 100.
Just because you learn it in 6th grade doesn't mean it's not useful. You learn a lot of things, how to tie your shoes when you're in kindergarten, and you use that your whole life, and it's very useful.
It's a foundational process. It's foundational, but you build a huge building, a huge structure is built on that foundation.
I understand that, but do you understand why we go back to this standard and why we, push for it? Is because we believe a lot of pseudoscience is being passed off as legitimate science. And if you followed this method, it'd be very difficult to do that.
Yeah, pseudoscience is simply, extraordinary claims with no evidence. I mean, that's pseudoscience.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We talk about how much does the sun weigh, and what's in the core of the sun, and what exoplanet 5 trillion million miles away could support human life, and how deep was the lake on Mars. This is all pseudoscientific shit.
Well, you're talking about the exoplanets and stuff. That's kind of fringe to me, and I don't understand all of it that they do to, and I just kind of listen to that stuff, and we're never going there, I mean,
right.
So it doesn't really matter that much.
But these things over time tend to get passed off as legitimate science and taught to our kids and say, yeah, we know that exoplanet 3421 was once had life on it and could support human life. These things tend to pass into fact. We got to be very careful about what things we allow to be considered fact, scientific fact.
Yeah, but the things about exoplanets might be provided as information, but I don't recall ever being taught that type. Well, that stuff was around when I was, but it.
No, I get you. I mean, I'm not fixated just on exoplanets. I'm just saying these things that are unknowable are passed off as facts. the stories, the way that fits somebody's idea of how things should be, conventions that were created hundreds of years ago, decisions. A lot of this science is by consensus. People got together and made decisions. The one who had the most ink could write the papers and get the queen's blessing, and the powers that be said, yes, this is the truth and we'll teach it in school. Those are the ones that passed into today. We have to apply some kind of standard to what we consider human knowledge.
Right.
So what is that standard? I would say it's somewhere in between a strict scientific method, which I think is a safe way to go, and what we have today, but not too far from the strict scientific method. In fact, the Royal Society of London, its motto was nullius in verba, which means, we won't bow down to authority, and we won't accept as fact that which hasn't been experimentally shown.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have become the authority
Right.
of which they despise.
Yeah, this was back in 1600s, right? Back then it was like, it probably had high ideals, but just like every other thing in this world, once it becomes of something of use and has a possibility to have power, it gets co-opted by the powers that be. It happens almost every frickin' time.
Yep, just like Christianity with Constantine. Yep.
But you got to kind of pick your poison in this argument, like mentioning exoplanets. I think, and even talking about Einstein, to me, falls way outside of common knowledge. The layman, and can be screwed. But like knowing what the sun's made of, I've done spectroscopy in the lab. We had a photometer, and we reaction, trap the gas and analyze it. And sure enough, there'd be a peak on carbon. I've done it, and I know it worked. It's a little stretch to think they can point that at the sun and recognize peaks, but they do it, and when you get
That's
into
not what we dispute, Howard. Howard, that's not what...
talking about of it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I could understand where it's hard to grasp, but these things they do, it's not frivolous. It's established.
No, that's the point. It's not, Howard. We're not disputing that you can do spectroscopy. Maybe you can see what's coming from the exterior of the sun, the light, right? I'll grant you that.
Right.
That's not the issue. The issue is what you claim is at the center of the sun and how it works. And you cannot determine this through spectroscopy. That's the issue.
Let's say, and this is a layperson thinking about it, if what we see on the surface is happening, what could be causing that? And maybe that's what's going on, causing that. And
maybe, and maybe not. Maybe it's something else causing that, right?
That's why science doesn't. Could be, and I'm not being facetious, I'm just kind of being lighthearted. It could be little green pixies in there whipping it up. You know what I'm saying?
Howard, do you know how long they say light takes to travel from the center to make it to the exterior?
Oh, it's like, holy shit. Is that right? It's a big
number. Like what, 100,000 years, or what is it, 100 million years? I forget the stupid number.
What? Of the sun?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, check it out.
Light. That's the isn't that the molecule cells or the product?
Or is it the solar wind or something? I'm pretty sure it's the light itself. It takes like for it to make it out to the exterior, it takes like hundreds of thousands of years or something.
Yeah, it was kind of a shocking number.
Yeah, I would say.
Yep, I agree. But I'll kind of back out here. I've got the things that I don't know about, I tend to sit back and listen and not have much of an opinion. it gets out of my realm of what I understand and feel like I know, I tend to not talk about.
Well, I think that's a good way to be, Howard. I commend you for that. But a lot of the differences that we have with these things, I'm not an expert on spectroscopy. I'm not an expert on the heliocentric model at all, for that matter. They're philosophical differences that start at the foundation. Those are the differences that I have. I don't think those require any special education or a PhD in order to have philosophical differences with things. Do you?
No, that's what the conversation.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Good discussion.
Appreciate it. I'm going to go in here and fuel. I'll be listening. Stand by.
All right, cool. All right. Well, we kind of hit a lull in. Why don't we pick up another one of these? Yeah. We'll go to the next one. That was pretty cool. 16. If the Earth were a globe, the distance around its surface at, say, 45 degrees south latitude could not possibly be any greater than it is at the same latitude north. But since it is found by navigators to be twice the distance, to say the least of it, or double the distance it ought to be according to the globular theory, it is a proof that the Earth is not a globe. Well, that's interesting. That goes along with a lot of what he's talked about already, but what is he basing this on? You know, he just say navigators to be twice the distance. I wonder what he's referring to.
Good question.
Right?
Yeah. That one's as clear as mud, what looks of things.
You know, we'll say these guys were a lot more connected probably to shipping, being as how planes weren't invented yet. And they had to rely on boats for a lot of stuff, right? A little more than they do today.
Well, shipping was their number one way to get around, no?
Right. So they probably had quite the knowledge of shipping. Then again, we have the whole internet at our disposal, so I don't know. But I find that one pretty interesting. I'd love to see some evidence that that's true. 17. Human beings require a surface on which to live that in its general character shall be level. And since the omniscient creator must have been perfectly acquainted with the requirements of his creatures, it follows that being an all-wise creator, he has met them thoroughly. This is a theological proof the earth is not a globe. Whoa! Left turn.
Holy Toledo.
What do you think about that one?
He's being logical again.
What's that, Bandsaw?
I said it's a hornet's nest, this one.
Absolutely. So I guess his logic goes something like, well, obviously we need a flat area to live on. God would know that. Therefore, Earth is flat.
That's like a duh.
I don't know about that one. That's oh boy. 18. The best possessions of men are his senses. And when he uses them all, he will not be deceived in his survey of nature. It is only when some one faculty or other is neglected or abused that he is deluded. Every man in full command of his senses knows that a level surface is a flat or horizontal one. But astronomers tell us that the true level is the curved surface of a globe. They know that man requires a level surface on which to live, so they give him one in name, which is not one in fact. Since this is the best that astronomers, with their theoretical science, can do for their fellow creatures, deceive them, it is clear that things are not as they say they are, and in short, is a proof the earth is not a globe.
Don't trust your senses.
Rule number one for the ballers: you cannot trust your senses.
Nope. You know what Xanax said to me one time? He said, the sooner you throw out common sense, the better off you'll be. I just shook my head.
Wow.
What? Just forget all that logic and common sense. That's not going to do you any good in understanding the world. I disagree with that at its core.
Like, if you tried to be more wrong and make a more absurd statement, I don't think you could.
Yeah, that's pretty bold statement to make by someone. But yeah, we definitely are told that our senses are deceiving us. And while it's true that our senses do, in some cases, mislead us, such as optical illusions, we don't have any evidence that that's the case here. No one can show us any curvature. We've been trying frantically to physically measure curvature and come up with a way to measure it for years now, and have, as of now, not been able to do so. The only reason the astronomers and others believe that they can measure curvature is they're making assumptions about optics, the nature of light, and how things should look visually. And around that, they've created a mathematical model that displays the Earth as a ball. That is theoretical in my book, until proven with experimental evidence or measured physically. All right. 19. Every man in his senses goes the most reasonable way to work to do a thing. Now, astronomers, one after another following a leader, while they are telling us that Earth is a globe, are cutting off the upper half of this supposititious globe in their books, and in this way forming the level surface on which they describe man as living and moving. Now, if the Earth were really a globe, this would be just the most unreasonable and suicidal mode of endeavoring to show it, so that unless theoretical astronomers are all out of their senses together, it is clearly a proof the Earth is not a globe. This is an interesting one, because this is one thing I've thought about a long time. Do you guys know what he's talking about?
Cutting the Earth in half?
Yeah.
Is that what I got there?
Yeah. Let me see here if I can find a picture of it. Hopefully I can. Yeah, here we go. Are you familiar with the term, the celestial plane? So typically when they show you somebody using an EQ mount, or they show, someone using a telescope, can't find a really good picture of it right off the top here, but this'll work. Let me open this. They show you something like this, right? Here it is. They show you something like this, and they'll show you with the telescope, like standing there. Here's 180, here's 0. So that in practice, you are pointing in two opposite directions somewhere on the face of this Earth, and that's how your charting thing is, as if you're standing on a flat plane. They don't show you pointing your telescope down here and then pointing your telescope down in this direction. It's always a 180 flat surface that is the basis for all of your, declination and all that stuff with your telescope, right? Did that make sense? This isn't the best picture.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get what they're saying.
Like, they would show you something like, here's a better one, right? Okay, hold on. Open image. This one might be better. Not that one. Like here, like you'd be he'd show you standing there, right? You're pointing this way, it's 180. You're pointing this way, it's 0. Now, how that would be different than being on a flat plane, I don't know. I think you'd do it exactly the same. The only difference would be is things would rise and lower due to perspective, because they're close. On their model, they're impossibly far away, so they're not governed by perspective. It's just like an inverse. What we have with the ball model is an inverse of being on a flat plane and taking perspective into account. That's why I always say it's a mathematical model. They just figured out how to mathematically show it as a ball. Okay. You guys are quiet. Are you guys bored with this or what?
I'm not bored.
No? Okay.
I don't know about everybody else.
All right. Well, let's go to the next one. Maybe something will trigger us. The common sense of man tells him, if nothing else told him, that there is an up and a down in nature, even as regards the heaven and the earth. But the theory of modern astronomers necessitates the conclusion that there is not. Therefore, the theory of astronomers is opposed to common sense, yes, and inspiration. Proof that the earth is not a globe. So we talked about this one at length.
Yes, we did, yeah.
Man's experience tells him that he is not constructed like the flies that can live, said move upon the ceiling of a room with as much safety as on the floor. And since the modern theory of a planetary earth necessitates a crowd of theories to keep company with it, and one of them is that men are really bound to the earth by a force which fastens them to it like needles round a spherical lodestone, a theory perfectly outrageous and opposed to all human experience, it follows that unless we can trample upon common sense and ignore the teachings of experience, we have an evident proof that the earth is not a globe. Sounds like a lot of us already agree with him on this one as well. Okay. God's truth never requires a falsehood to help it along. Mr. Proctor in his lesson says, men have been able to go round and round the earth in several directions. Now, in this case, the word several will imply more than two, unquestionably, whereas it is utterly impossible to circumnavigate the earth in any other than an easterly or a westerly direction, and the fact is perfectly consistent and clear in its relation to earth as a plane. Now, since astronomers would not be so foolish as to damage the good cause by misrepresentation, it is presumptive evidence that their cause is a bad one. I believe that can be summarized as there is no proof of a north to south circumnavigation.
Yep, plain as day.
Too bad Gleam's not around. He has done a lot of analysis on this and gone back and forth with Wally and the other pups in the wolf.
What do you mean
pack.
there's been no north to south circumnavigation?
Is there? Because the ones that I've seen were not clear cut at all. You could just make a big circle and it'd be the same thing. Is there something that falsifies that these supposed circumnavigation routes could be done on a flat plane?
I see what you're saying.
Because you almost have to go directly along one longitude line across to the other side.
The problem with that is the Earth isn't symmetric when it comes to land masses, and these planes don't have circumnavigation range.
Couldn't you fly from yeah, I see what you're saying. Like the land masses aren't on opposite sides. There's got to be some way you could do it.
The Pacific is like half the world.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Well, if we had unlimited resources, we could take a couple of fighter jets and a couple of, what are those called that they land on? Aircraft carriers.
Aircraft carrier, yeah.
On each side.
That's all we need.
Yeah, that's it. If anybody wants to donate to that, my GoFundMe is up. I need $5 billion and we'll get it done. On each side of Antarctica and just fly from one to the other directly across what's said to be a longitude line.
So if they did that, well, how would you move the goalposts again?
Well, if I was looking to move the goalposts, that would be a very difficult one to do. I'd have to say that they were lying about their route. Or I could say that they don't believe. I don't believe them, which probably would be the case if they did it and said they did it. I would have trouble believing them.
I'm just wondering because it always seems that the goalposts get moved once you do something. Like, well, do this, and then you do it, and then, well, do this. Yeah, well, that's not good enough. You need to do this too.
I'm not sure why it matters if the goalpost does. I'm not saying that it does get moved, but if it does get moved on certain things, there's other things that you guys just flat out refuse to do to begin with, like show a spinning ball with water sticking to it. If you do that, there's no goalpost to move. Then
so inside the gravity well of Earth, show water sticking to a smaller object than the Earth. Gotcha.
Yes, demonstrate water sticking to a spinning ball. Yes,
I got it. Inside the gravity well of Earth, right?
Wherever you want to do it, demonstrate that.
All right, let's see. I got water sticking. And I suppose the one up in the space isn't good enough for you where they put the ball inside the water glob.
If they can demonstrate it to me, sure.
You talking about the IIS stuff where they're playing with the water ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they can demonstrate it for me, that's fine. But they won't. They'll only show me videos.
So what's proof then?
Someone demonstrating it.
What's the difference between that and videos?
Well, one you're actually there verifying that it's taking place.
Oh, so you'd have to be on the ISS. You'd have to be on the ISS then.
Well, let me ask you this: do you believe that Star Wars is a true story?
I'm waiting for an intelligent question.
If not, if you don't, I'm not sure why
it.
you don't, because apparently...
No, I'm waiting for an intelligent question from Brian. Well, you see, the problem is that
just keep eating your slop and stay on mute, all right?
Sorry. I thought it was. I apologize.
Now, to back you up, Bob, this could easily be faked. Extremely easily. This is not out of the realm of possibility to fake this. If they're faking fucking space,
no.
Why would they not fake this little water ball thing?
There's no reason why they couldn't do that.
That's the problem we have. How do we trust these guys?
In fact, I would challenge anyone to get a shot like that, even on Earth, without staging it very much beforehand and getting everything specifically to line up beforehand to get a shot like that. I challenge anyone to just do an ad hoc
You've
shot
never
like
done
that.
a video demonstration, have you?
Like I said, I challenge anyone to do an ad hoc photo like that.
Have you been on like a presentation where you're like presenting something? You have everything lined up ahead of time. That's really stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it would be really stupid to think that's real, wouldn't it?
No, actually that is real. But what I'm saying is, when you do a presentation, you have everything set up for your presentation. He probably knew he was going to do this, so he had like the ball and the tube and everything set. I mean, that's how it works. You just don't go like.
So you agree then? You agree that they would have taken time to set this up beforehand, right?
You'd have to, yes.
Great.
So what?
So we agree. You agree with what I'm saying. Thank you.
Well, I don't understand the point, though. What's the point?
That was literally the point that I was making.
The point is they had to set up ahead of time? Well, of course they had to set up ahead of time, you idiot. Because you set up everything ahead of time.
So you agree.
You think you're just kind of going like, well, I'm agreeing, but I don't see your point. Your point is it's fake because it was set up ahead of time?
I'm okay with you not seeing my point. That's fine.
No, tell me what your point is. Is your point?
See my point.
Is your point because it was set up ahead of time? It's fake.
I didn't say that. So why would
well,
that
then
be
what is your point? What is your point?
My point is that they would have set up that shot beforehand, not done it ad hoc. That was my point.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was my point.
Okay. Well, what does that prove?
I didn't say it proves anything.
Okay.
Why are you bringing proof
then why
into
you
this?
Then why?
I
Then why do
use
you
that word? You use that word. Seems like you came in here all hot and bothered about a thing that we're agreeing on.
I know he couldn't even finish eating first. He wants to jump in so bad.
Can't help himself.
Yeah.
What are you eating anyway, Shills?
All this reminds me of, y'all remember that scene in Rocky 3 when Thunder Lips is beating the shit out of Rock, and he's like, "It's all fake, meatball, all fake."
I don't remember that. I haven't seen that movie forever.
Oh yeah, he says that when he's, because everybody says wrestling's fake, and he's sitting down, he's hammering down with his elbow and does all the suplex and all this stuff to him. And he's like, "It's all fake, meatball, all fake."
Is that that's the one with Mr. T in it? Rocky
yeah, that's
3?
the one where he fights Mr. T.
Oh, okay. I used to love Mr. T. He was awesome.
Yeah,
I like the way he talked.
He was supposed to be Muhammad Ali.
In the movie, he was?
Well, not physically, but the character was based on Muhammad Ali. They showed it to Muhammad Ali, and he goes, "The master of disaster." He goes, "I wish I would have thought of that one."
That's funny. All right, so Peyton asked the show. I asked a question a little while ago, and I don't know if you can answer this. If we suspect that the government is lying and that a lot of this space stuff is a psychological operation of some kind, how can we trust evidence like this, like these pictures and videos that they put out? How could we'd have to suspend our disbelief? What tells us that it's real? How do we know it's genuine evidence?
I see. So it's all one big, massive conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Well, in that case, if it's all one big, massive conspiracy, you would have to believe it's all one big, massive conspiracy. I mean, how can you trust anything if it's one big, massive conspiracy? Do you trust your own eyes?
In real life, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you can only trust the things you can see and touch and do then, right?
Not only, but my level of confidence goes down very low when it comes to the government.
The things that you can sense with your senses, those are the things that you can verify are reality. You can choose to trust whatever you want, but that's not verification. You have the right, of course, as a human being, to trust whoever and whatever you want. Go for it. But that's not the same as verifying something just because you trust it.
Well, I told you how you could verify lots of things. You just refused to do it, Bob.
Well, if you believe that things like videos are verification, then you clearly don't understand what verification is. So we disagree on the definition of verification, and you saying that it's out there means nothing to me.
I didn't say the word video. But...
earlier, when we were talking about that exact subject, it was less than 10 minutes ago, when you were calling that verification?
I did offer a video of water in a ball at the ISS, right?
Right.
Okay,
indicating that would somehow be verification, which it absolutely is not.
I see. Because it's all one big psyop fake. And are they in the tank or are they suspended by string?
No. This has nothing to do with the psyop thing. This is just a true statement. Video is not verification. That's just true, no matter what subject you're talking about.
Kind of a non sequitur here, but Stacy B, are you there? Stacy? No? Well, I wanted to share that Stacy's been doing some research in the background. And Bob, yet again, you have been debunked within hours of making a statement.
Oh dear.
I'm sharing the results of her research.
Boy.
Are trees made out of wood? No, trees are not made out of wood. Wood is made out of trees.
Oh boy. Oh no.
There you go.
Oh,
I like that, yeah.
What have I done?
You're welcome. Sorry, I'm eating. You're welcome.
Wait a minute. She got that from Quora.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Yeah, because kids say this as a joke, basically, and you're going around claiming it.
Suspect. Okay. You got an answer from Quora. I reject your authoritative claim. Okay.
I reject what you say. You know, he's messing with you though.
You also invoked invisible.
I consider Quora to be an authority on things concerning reality. Therefore, I reject your appeal to said authority.
In all seriousness, Quora does suck, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd agree.
That is funny, though. Nice job, Stacy. All right. Let's go on to the next one. What was that? 22? Yeah. 23. If astronomical works be searched through and through, there will not be found a single instance of a bold, unhesitating, or manly statement respecting a proofs of the Earth's rotundity. I'm just going to stop there for a minute and marvel at the use of manly as a adjective in this case. And I have no idea what he means.
Man, he doesn't mean manly. He means man done or done by man. This is who? This is Rothbottom?
No, this is Wallace.
Wallace. Is he like a 1890s, 1880s, somewhere in there?
1885, this was published.
Yeah, that explains it. Yeah, he's writing in the language of the time.
Okay. It's just interesting to see the different use of words that they had back then.
Was he English too?
I don't know. That's a good question. Anybody know if this guy is English or American or what? Probably English, huh?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's William Carpenter, not Wallace. Sorry about that.
I have that book. I have that book sitting on my desk. Which one are we at? 22?
I think there were Seventh-day Adventists doing a lot of the flat Earth books and stuff.
I have that book still on my desk.
Oh,
Believe it or
really?
not. Hold on. My dog is whining at me. Yeah. My wife got it for me as a joke for Christmas. One second. My dog is whining at me.
Okay. Oh, now I know why Paid NASA Shill's so triggered. His wife's a flat earther. I got it now.
There it is. Now we know.
Now we know. William Carpenter was an English printer and author and a proponent of the flat earth theory. Active in England and the United States in the 19th century, Carpenter immigrated to the United States and continued his advocacy of the flat earth movement. So he died in 1896 in Baltimore, Maryland.
Now imagine this. These things were going on way before supposedly we got high enough to verify, right? Let's remember this now.
Way before. Hundreds of years before.
Yep.
Let's see what he says. In Greenwich, Carpenter became a printer and a stenographer by profession. In 1879, he moved from England to Baltimore, Maryland. So he wrote this when he was in America, where he continued his work as a printer. In 1880, U.S. federal census shows him and his wife, Annie, with 6 children, aged 11 to 25. He was busy. Whose occupations included milliner. Must be someone who works in a mill or something. Architect, professor of music, and florist. Pretty eclectic mix of careers for his kids. After arriving in Baltimore, Carpenter taught classes in shorthand. He published 2 books in the subject and became known as Professor Carpenter. Carpenter had other eclectic beliefs. That's weird they used that word after I just used it. Per his Baltimore Sun obituary. For many years, Mr. Carpenter had also been a vegetarian, a believer in the power of mesmerism, and spiritualist. Upon each of these questions, he wrote pamphlets. He thought that the eating of meat was responsible for many of the ills that humanity is heir to. Huh. He died in 1896. His death was the result of a stroke of apoplexy on Sunday. What is apoplexy? Oh, bleeding. Okay. Oh, wow. We're going to look up what a milliner is too. Hat making. That was way off. Someone who works in a mill. I couldn't have been more wrong. Hat making or millinery is the design, manufacture, and sale of hats and headwear. A person engages in this trade is called a milliner. Is that still a thing? Is there modern day milliners? I guess there has to be ones that work for big hat companies, huh?
Fire hats or helmets can be made of leather. Stetsons are still like, you know, leather steamed, stretched, a lot of it by hand.
It's still done by hand, Jimbo?
Yeah, a lot of leather and hats are stretched and pulled.
Let's see if we can still go to school for millinery. Kind of an awkward word. Hat Academy. Grow your millinery passion by learning hat making techniques with creative video tutorials. So if anybody is interested in becoming a milliner, getting into millinery, it's out there. So just FYI for anybody
That's
interested.
the name I would have picked. Millinery.
Yeah, I mean, it's very descriptive, isn't it? Oh, shit. Okay, so that's who this dude is. Seems like a pretty cool guy. He was into a lot of stuff.
Was he a teacher? Did I hear correctly? A teacher?
Yeah, he taught shorthand. I guess that was a big deal back then.
So he was a learned man. He wasn't a dummy, right? That believed in the flat earth?
I think
You
you're
would say
right.
he was educated.
Well, let's say if it says that. Yeah, I would assume so. He was a printer, but it doesn't say what his education is. Yeah, it doesn't say.
Not that it matters, but for the ballers.
Right. Oh, what's this? Advocate of the flat earth theory. Let's see what it says in the old Wikipedia about this. Carpenter was a passionate advocate of the flat earth theory. Carpenter, a printer, he wrote the book. He argued, there are rivers that flow for hundreds of miles. We read that one. If the earth were a globe, a small globe model. I wonder why they picked those two. Isn't that odd? They just picked two random ones from the 100 and put them in there. He was a proponent of English writer Samuel Rowbotham, who actually died in the year Carpenter's book was printed. Yeah, I've got that book, Zetetic Astronomy. It's sitting on the shelf behind me. Inconsistent. Wait, what's this say? Results of many experiments. Inconsistency of modern astronomy and its opposition to the scripture. Whoa. Has anybody read that one? No. Rowbotham also produced studies mostly printed by Carpenter. Oh, he printed Rowbotham shit. Huh.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Most flat earthers have a religious basis somewhere.
I don't know if most is right. I mean, there is a lot of
many.
Yeah,
many. A
yeah,
lot.
many. I'll agree with that. There is a lot of.
I would say that's a fair statement.
I'm not religious. Essie, you're not religious, are you?
No.
Okay. Can we settle on many?
No, many's good. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I think that's a fair statement.
Okay.
One of the few that you make that are maybe the only one that I've ever heard you make.
Yeah, there's a large contingent of religious. There's nothing wrong with that either way. Everybody has their own beliefs.
No. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. No.
And I do think that the Earth is created. I just don't believe in any particular religious story.
I mean, if you want to talk about beliefs, I'll be more than happy just to let you guys talk. Because when you start saying that there's scientific behind your beliefs, that is the problem.
Well, I mean, there is scientific evidence that the Earth is flat, but anyway. Principal works. Some of Carpenter's work. Wow, this guy wrote a lot of shit. Communion with ministering spirits. Oh, that was huge back then, from what I understand, though.
That's like ghosts, believing in ghosts and stuff.
Yeah,
they had fancy terms back then. Don't forget, eh?
Oh yeah, that's right. So this was like 100 spooky ghost stories.
Doing a seance and shit, Ouija boards.
Yeah, right. Sir Isaac Newton's theoretical astronomy examined and refuted by common sense. That might be one worth picking up. Something about spiritualism, a reply to Professor Aries' Ipswich lectures to working men. Interesting. Bosch and Bentham, religious arguments why the earth is not round. The Flying Philosophers. Water, not convex. I like that title. Let's see what else he's got. The Lockyer's Logic. Mr. Lockyer's Logic, an exposition of Mr. Norman Lockyer's astronomy.
But allegedly, flat Earth started 5 or 6 years ago. Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
No, I mean it's just rehashed stuff. That's 5 or 6 years ago is when the modern internet, I believe, started with.
Right. Whenever we were
4,000
finally granted
5 years
access to
ago.
information that was otherwise kept from us, and we were able to see what people before us saw, the Earth is actually flat.
Nothing more than rehashing old stuff. It's just that
We were
a
allowed
yoga
to look at
instructor
real
noticed it.
science and find out what it was.
No, it's not
we
real
come to our
science.
senses, our literal senses.
People have known
Yeah,
the
well,
earth
your
is flat
senses
for
people-
thousands of years, since the time of the dinosaurs.
People.
Yeah, you said rehashing old stuff. Well, what's the old stuff? The old stuff had to come from somewhere.
Yeah,
There's no
isn't
proof. I mean,
Newton old stuff?
what's the best proof of the flat Earth today? What's everybody's best proof of the flat Earth, please?
Level is
The
horizontal,
water.
I guess. Water is level?
Water.
Water's level.
Yeah.
Water is
The
the top.
surface of the Earth is level. If we're
Yep.
talking about water, then it reflects light like every other level surface reflects light. It doesn't reflect light like a curved surface, for example. But water, number one, the surface of the Earth.
The absolute absence of measurable curvature?
No, there's measurable curvature.
No, there's not.
Do it in 17 days.
17 days.
17 days, March 20th, the equinox.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, put some sticks in the ground. There you go.
Oh, the
There you go,
sticks in the
exactly.
ground.
Exactly.
That's a
Prove the Earth
measurement.
is round.
That's a measurement of shadows and light. I'm not measuring curvature. in
Someone
that case.
doesn't understand what a
Sorry.
measurement it seems like.
Oh no, that's measurement. That's definitely measurement.
Hold on.
Not a
Peyton
measurement of
Asashill,
Earth curvature.
actually
Sin, how are
said
you?
that.
There we go.
Hold on. Don't talk about Eratosthenes. You said that he found out the sun's elevation. Do you want to explain how he did that?
No, you
said that
you typically
a couple of different times.
like a typical flat earther. You misunderstood what I said and called me out of
Now
context.
you said he found the sun's elevation. And I thought that was weird.
Okay, let's start off with this statement.
Just be honest, dude.
If the Earth was flat, you could use triangulation to calculate the altitude, if you will, of the elevation above the flat Earth.
How
that
did he
the sun
do the
is at.
altitude of the sun? How did he do it?
He didn't do it because he knew the Earth was
Okay,
round.
so why would you say that he did? Because you said it more than once.
Listen, you misunderstood what I said more than once. Then again, let's go back to if the Earth was flat, you could calculate the elevation of the sun or the distance from the sun is away from the Earth with using trigonometry.
Okay, using trigonometry, how did he discover the altitude or the elevation of the sun, as you put it?
He didn't. Listen to me.
I know he didn't.
You are
I
totally,
know exactly what he didn't do.
So
and
now
he
listen to
didn't
me
do
again.
that.
If the Earth was flat, you could calculate the distance to the sun based on trigonometry.
How would you do it? How would you do it?
What do you mean you don't know how to do trigonometry? I'm not here to teach you
No,
trigonometry.
you're the one that says you're good at math. You said you could do it. How do you do it?
Just trigonometry. Look it up. I'm not
Okay,
here to
so
teach you trigonometry.
tell me how you do it, Mr. Trigonometry Mathematic Big Brain Baller. Let's hear
no.
it.
If you don't, I'm
Yeah,
not
I
teaching-
know
I'm
you
not here
can't
to
do
teach
it
you.
because you're a liar. And
Incorrect.
you
I'm
just
not
need
here
to
to
stop
teach you.
lying online.
I'm not here to teach you trigonometry.
I
over
know you're
Discord.
not here. Yeah.
If you want to see how to do it, Google it yourself. You can find it yourself quite
Google it.
easily. Yes, correct. That was a good place to start. And then go buy a trigonometry book, and maybe go back to high school and pay the school district back for the trigonometry class you slept through.
So in other words, just ad hom him instead of answering him his question and having a normal
Answer this
conversation.
question. If the Earth was flat,
if you could just do
Typical
it,
shield
then
Did you
I
just
believe
say
you.
pay them back? Do you think he got paid to go to school?
Well, no, the school district had to pay money in order to pay the teachers, and he had to buy his books, and he had to build the school and all that kind of stuff. Right? Or is that free?
You just said you knew how to do it.
Doesn't generate money to pay for that. Taxes pay for that, dude.
Fine, let's go pay the taxpayers. Same difference. It's the school district, the taxpayers. No, I'm not here to teach you trigonometry, son.
So you don't know how to do it. Yeah, you
I
don't
do know how to do it. But...
Okay,
so
but
anyway,
you won't tell us.
No,
you know how to do it, but you won't tell us.
No, but not over Discord, because it's too difficult. You guys don't understand math anyway.
It's sacred geometry
you don't
now,
understand. Not sacred geometry. You don't understand it.
Yeah. I know that's what you always say. Somebody won't understand it, but you won't try to tell anybody.
No, not over Discord. I'm not going to try to teach you guys. Syncletter barely knows
the
1 + 1 = 2.
I'm not going to tell you how I know.
No, I'm not going to teach you trigonometry. Ask Grumpus. Maybe he's still under the illusion that you guys want to learn stuff. I'm not. Because you don't. If you wouldn't ask me, you'd learn about this stuff.
I don't want to just learn stuff. Anybody can just learn stuff. I want to learn true things, which you don't seem interested in teaching.
What do you mean? We're trying to teach you. You mean you're not here to learn from us?
Oh no, because you guys, what do you know? Have you told me something?
I'm here to learn from you,
I have learned.
You're a genius.
I've actually learned a few things.
You got
from you.
2 master's degrees.
Yeah, none of them in teaching, by the way.
You know trigonometry. I'm a dumbass flat earther, bro. Yeah, I just want you to help me.
I'm not disagreeing with you. No, I'm not here to teach you. Professor Phil is another one. He's under the illusion you guys are teachable. He's a pretty decent teacher too. So anyway, now here's the one that you really don't like. If you have 3 different measurements, the sun must be in 3 locations at the same time, and that is not possible. Which is why the Earth is not.
That's an unsupported assumption.
No, not an unsupported assumption. Do it yourself.
No, your first part of your statement. If the Earth were flat, what follows there? That statement is an unsupported assumption.
That's called a hypothesis.
No, it's called an unsupported assumption.
It's called that's what hypothesis guess.
I'll show you.
That's called a guess, a hypothesis.
That's not
so if the Earth was flat.
That's a statement you made as part of your logical statement.
If the Earth was flat. No, I'm trying to prove the Earth is flat. Now, if the Earth is flat, I could measure the elevation of the distance from the Earth to the Sun using trigonometry.
If the Sun was physical.
The Sun is physical. We know that.
How do you know that? Oh, we know that already because we've been space. So we're going back to Aristotle's.
So we're going back. So what is the Sun if it's not physical?
I have no idea. I've never been there. So
exactly. Here we go. This is the other one. Now we're going to deny the reality of the Sun.
No, I just cannot make the claim that it is 100% physical like a rainbow isn't. Don't know, never been there, never touched it.
A rainbow doesn't get you a sunburn.
Don't know. There are lots of things in nature that I can go up to and appear to be there, but actually are not.
So because your incredulity disproves.
No, it's not my
Sun, right? It is your incredulity. I don't believe it.
No, it's my basic honesty because I've never been to the Sun. I have to rely on other people's claims.
To know what it is.
No, I have to rely on other people's claims about it.
You could actually look at the Sun through a telescope.
I can see it, not denying that the Sun is there.
And then you could do spectroscopy.
But it's the physical nature of that Sun and how it appears to be.
And you could triangulate the distance to it using Venus.
You're just not going to listen, are you?
No, because you're wrong. The Sun is real.
No, I'm just being honest with you. You're the one who's making the claims
to its conversation, Shields, for once. Try it.
Well, no, I mean, the fact is that he is wrong. The Sun is real.
No, I'm just being honest.
Tell him how
the Sun is real. I'm not saying that the Sun isn't real. I'm talking about its physical nature. You're making a claim to its physical nature. I couldn't. Hold tight. Chill. I couldn't make that. Chill. I couldn't make that claim because I've never been to the Sun. I'm just being honest with you, my friend.
You don't have to be.
Not been there. Don't know what it is.
So, have you ever been to Australia? Is Australia real?
Oh my goodness! Back to this one again.
Not physical. What is it? I mean,
don't know. Couldn't make that claim.
Oh, but you know it's not physical, but you don't know what it is. I got it.
No, I don't know what it is. You're the one who's making a claim to its actuality.
Is it physical or is it not?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the one making the claim. Have you been there?
You don't have to. So, have you been to Australia?
No.
Is Australia?
I know people who live in Australia. So,
and then how do you know that it's real? How do you know it's real, Bob? How do you know Australia's real?
No. Get the person's name right that you're talking to.
What's that?
Hank?
I didn't make the claim that Australia is real. I asked you.
Oh no, but you claim the sun is. You're claiming the sun is not false because you haven't been there. I'm asking, have you been to Australia? And so how do you know Australia is real?
Chill, stop it. You can go to Australia. You can't go to the sun. Stop it.
It doesn't sound like you're even properly.
But have you been to Australia
what's
though?
Been said here, Shill?
I'm following what you're saying. You don't. You don't realize when I show you your argument is absurd. When I show you your argument is absurd, you just go immediately say, "Oh no, it's not absurd."
It's absurd to say Australia doesn't exist and correlate Australia with the sun. That's absurd.
Especially when you're talking to somebody from Australia.
I understand that. So has he been to the United States? How do you know the United States is real? And it's the other way around for him.
And it's absurd to say the United States doesn't exist. It's an absurd correlation. Countries to the sun.
It's an exact correlation. Places you haven't been. How do you know that it? What you're saying is that it's not real unless I've been there.
It's a false analogy.
No, it's a great analogy. You're saying it's not real unless I've been there. Then I tell you you've not been to Australia. So how do you know it's real?
Okay, so
now you're saying it's a false analogy. So it's all a straw man. It's not a straw man. It's your exact argument. It's your exact fucking argument. Talk back to you. And then you wave it and wave it. Oh, that's ridiculous. When I show you it's ridiculous, you hand wave in the way. Oh,
Hey, can I say something to this guy?
You're talking shit.
Hey, Brandon, can I say something to this guy?
Yeah.
Well, there's plenty of people who has been in Australia. Can you show me one person who has been in the sun? That's a big difference, buddy.
But
that's why you're comparing. You're comparing
not
things
people,
that
not other
are
people.
don't equate.
Not other people. He's saying unless I've been to the sun.
No,
that's what he's saying.
He's referring to nobody can be to the sun. So all you need is one person to be in the sun in Australia, and that's it.
Excellent. 12 people have been to the moon. So is the moon real or not?
Yeah. Now you're changing to the moon. I don't know about the moon, buddy.
12 people have been there.
People have lied about being on the moon. That's different.
Oh, so how are you not lying about Australia?
Because you can't have gas.
Okay, so we all
you had to believe it.
All right, I'll answer him. Give me a second.
He's wrong.
It's simple. You can buy a ticket to Australia. Can you tell me where can I buy a ticket to the moon?
You're saying that now you're changing the rules again. Now you're saying
no.
Yeah, you are. You're changing the rules because you said someone else to me. You said that someone. You keep moving the goalposts on me. First of all, you said you had to be there. Now you say someone has to be there. Now you say you have to be able to go there. Well, how do you keep moving the goalposts on me?
Your problem is that the thing.
No, you keep moving the damn goalposts. Once I tell you something, you move the fucking goalposts on me. So far, you moved it 3 times. What's the fourth one?
The things that you're asking us to do, we can do it. The things that we're asking you to do, we cannot do it. We cannot go to the moon or to the sun. We can go to Australia, to the United States, to anywhere.
Well, no, so now you're changing.
That's a huge difference.
Places you can go.
Yeah, you can go. Yes.
So can you go to? I don't know exactly. There's an island. Can you go to Area 51, or does that exist? Because you can't go there.
I can go there. A lot of people went there.
No, you can't. No, they
I cannot enter the area, but I can go there.
Oh, I see. So how do you know
We
that?
started,
So you can you know that
before we followed this path of the red herring yet again, we were talking about
not a red
using
herring.
the sun. Yeah, well, we were talking about using the sun for stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just pointing out that I don't know about its physical nature, don't know its size, don't know its distance. You've got all the information for this.
You're a science denier. You don't know anything.
No, it's not. Oh my goodness, can I at least have a conversation?
You're stupid and
Let him
ignorant.
finish, Rumpus.
Oh, Rumpus, how are you here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
Not a problem at all.
They keep
I
moving the goalposts on me today.
Yeah, I just
No, I'm
got
not moving the goalposts. I've only got 10 minutes left. If you're not going to have a conversation with me, I'll just say my good nights and good evenings now. It's not a problem. I've been trying to have the conversation with you for 10 minutes, but you just continually talk through me. And then you declare that I'm stupid and that I don't understand.
If you would actually say something intelligent, I would let you talk, but I'm sorry.
I don't know what the sun is unless I rely on our authority to tell me what the sun is.
What you
Just
sounds intelligent to me.
So you're,
like I said.
Your lack of knowledge.
You don't know, Jedi.
Can't have
You
a
don't know anything about
coherent
anything.
conversation with you, so I'm going to say my
So
good
your
evening.
lack of
Good night, and
knowledge
I'll speak
means
to you
that
tomorrow.
the entire thing is false because you don't know a bit of information.
No, my statement's very clear. I don't know what the sun is unless I rely on authority to tell me what it is.
And that has no bearing on the value of what the sun is, what you know about it. If I find someone who doesn't know anything about Australia, does that mean to say Australia doesn't exist?
Again, we're talking about using the sun, like Aristophanes, for angles and shit, and triangulating its position.
No, we can observe the sun.
No, we don't triangulate
the
sun. We don't triangulate the sun. You can't do it. It's too far away.
Okay, so when you look at the sun...
Okay, listen, Rumpus,
then you can
1 second.
If you're on a flat Earth, you can do it.
Hey, Rumpus, you just debunked paid NASA shill because he said you could triangulate it.
Listen to what he just said, Rumpus. Say your last sentence again.
I'll say it again.
Thank you. Get this shit out of your ears, Sinconzer.
Rumpus just debunked your dumbass paid NASA.
No, shut up and listen to him for a minute. Rumpus, say it.
If you're on a flat Earth and you take the angles from Mr. Aristophanes, then that makes the sun about 3,000 miles away. But it only works with two angles.
Who
if you have
says
a
it should
third,
work?
then it invalidates the other two. And you end up with
That's
three
your
positions.
unsupported assumption, Rumpus. Who says it
No,
should
no,
work? Who says it should work?
Hold on, evidence.
Trigonometry, man.
Let me respond to Brandon.
You're applying trigonometry to optical observations over distance. Who says you can do that?
I'm going to give you an answer. I can give you evidence.
Okay.
Slice Barkane got people around the world.
I've seen his
to give
video.
him an angle. Let me finish
Who
my
says
answer.
it should work? Everyone's seen it.
Finish
Rumpus,
my answer,
I've seen
please.
it. You're
Can
not
I finish
answering my
answer?
question. You're
Can
not.
I just finish my answer?
Make it quick because you're not answering my question.
You've just stopped me, interrupting me about 4 words into an answer there.
I know where you're going.
Slice Barkane got many people, about 20 people from around the world to give an angle to the sun. And if you put them on a flat Earth, it gives different positions for the sun. Only when you put all those observations of angles around the Earth do they all point at the same thing. I've finished now. Go ahead,
Yes,
Brandon.
we know how you have back engineered your ball model. What I'm asking you is, how do you support the assumption that that should work, that you can apply trigonometry to these long distance site observations? Trigonometry is used on paper, fine. It works on paper just fine. But you're applying them to optical observations over a long distance using celestial objects. What says it should work?
It says it shouldn't work.
Geometry works over any distance.
No,
Why do you think it wears out?
Now you're evading the question.
No, I'm not. You're saying
are.
geometry doesn't work over long distances,
No, I'm
and you're
not.
wrong.
That's not what I said.
Why shouldn't geography work?
You just skewed what I said.
No, it's what you're implying. You're saying for some reason geometry over long distances doesn't work. It absolutely does work over long distances.
I'm not saying that. Physical geometry obviously works at all distances. What I'm saying is, listen to the words I say. What you are applying this method of trigonometry for triangulation to optical observations over very long distance with the celestial objects. What makes you think that should work on a flat Earth?
Because there's nothing to make it not work. Refraction is not a problem when you're looking.
That's not a good answer.
It is a very good answer.
No, it's a damn good answer.
That is not a good answer.
Why shouldn't it work?
The only thing that can cause a problem is the only thing that can cause a problem with doing over long distances. If you're getting some effect, you're making the rays of light not be straight lines. That's the only time you're going to have a problem.
Yep.
If you're looking up at a reasonable altitude, we know for a fact that refraction is not an issue. Refraction is only an issue when you're looking near the horizon.
Well, so you said you knew this for a fact. So obviously you've been able to validate using this method and applying it to optical observations of celestial objects. When have you validated that?
I understand the theory behind why it should work. I also understand there should be no reason for it not to work. And also I can rely on authorities who spend their entire lives worrying about such things.
At Tycho Brahe, he did the whole thing.
That it's perfectly fine.
So you have no evidence
to authority. You have no evidence whatsoever besides your
appeal authority. It's math.
You
Come
just
on.
appealed to authority and admitted it was theoretical. Therefore, your assumption is unsupported by experimental
incorrect.
evidence.
It's math. It's math.
Your assumption. I know you don't want to hear this. Your assumption is unsupported.
It's math. It's not math. No, your assumption is unsupported. Why wouldn't it work, Brandon? What makes distance and trigonometry in
Brandon.
Why wouldn't it work? I have to prove why it wouldn't work when you are using it as an unsupported assumption. What's your experimental evidence that this should
geometry
work?
works over any distance? We've demonstrated the refraction.
Your incredulity doesn't mean that it doesn't work. You're saying it doesn't work.
You don't have any experimental evidence that it will work.
Geometry works at all distances, at all
Didn't
times.
say geometry
Mathematically
doesn't
proven.
work. Now you're trying to skew my words and make it about geometry instead of
it is.
the
It's trigonometry. It's
application
trigonometry.
of this methodology.
No, hold on. Paid NASA show you can't, and Rumpus too. You can't use trigonometry to give you the distance to an apparent light. You want to know why?
It's not apparent. It's a real object.
Hold on. I'm not done. You could take a piece of paper, draw 2 points, figure out the distance, and then calculate your distance to your refrigerator. No, you just can't fucking make that work. I'm sorry.
Do you know how?
Good luck trying to figure that one out.
Triangulation
You can't.
works? Do you know how
No, he doesn't know how
Yeah,
triangulate.
you take
No,
2
no, he
points
doesn't.
and you calculate for the third. That's the
Correct.
triangle. But the problem is you
triangulation.
don't have no.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to explain to you what triangulation is. With triangulation,
Yeah, you're not going to do it.
Well, okay, you're too stupid. Okay, you don't want to know. Fine.
No, you see, this
I
is
don't
what you
think
asked
you know
me.
what you're
Excuse me,
talking
Sin.
You don't
This
even
is what
know
you asked-
why it doesn't
Sin.
apply.
Listen to me, Sin. This is what you asked me to do earlier, and I said I wasn't going to teach you trigonometry. Rumpus is attempting to teach you trigonometry, and you say, no, I don't want to learn it. There you go. That's
no,
why I didn't try to teach you
I don't
earlier.
want to hear you. I'll hear Rumpus embarrass himself because he knows enough to know that
You don't understand
Bullshit.
what triangulation is, and you said you didn't want to know, so sold off. I mean,
Okay,
you're one
so
of the
go
few
ahead
people.
and
You're one of
explain
the few people
how I draw
who,
2 points on a piece of paper
you don't
and
know
I
how
can
triangulation
triangulate
works.
my
That's not
mailbox.
triangulation. You don't know how triangulation works.
All right, so how did you do it?
Right, triangulation works, and I know you're one of the couple of people I basically refuse to talk to.
How
I
did
don't know
you
why.
do it?
I don't know why I'm talking to you, but I'm
particular?
going to do it anyway for the benefit of other people who might be listening about triangulation. Triangulation involves knowing the distance between 2 points and then measuring the angle from those two extreme points. So you take a line, you've got 2 points at the end of those lines, and then you may take an angle to some other object, say a distant mountain or something. And then you know the distance between the two ends. And if you know anything about trigonometry, you can then use the angles and the distance you've got, building up a triangle to the point in the distance. It's called triangulation. It's used by surveyors. It's used by all the time. It's valid. So the fact that Sinclair's got some idea about pieces of paper and dots is absolutely irrelevant. He doesn't know what triangulation is. He's got some wacky idea, and who
Wait.
cares?
You just hand waved everything I said. I said the
You didn't make
problem
a point.
was
No.
you can make 2 points and know the distance between 2 points, but that doesn't mean I can use 2 points on a piece of paper and just tell you how far North Korea is. And if the sun
listen to what I said,
is the
you
North
did-
Korea,
Hold on,
how are
listen.
you gonna? No,
Listen.
dude, are you kidding me?
Listen, no, I'm not.
No,
you
are you
don't
kidding
understand what
me? Are you
triangulation
this
is. Even though I
really
just
stupid,
explained
Sam?
it.
Are you kidding me?
I just explained what triangulation is. You clearly didn't understand what I said because you ignored
Yeah,
everything I
you
said.
no, you made
and
my
I'll try
point.
it again. If you understood trigonometry, you would understand that if you have a baseline, a line that's a particular length known, and you can see something else, like a distant mountain, and you know, and you can measure the angles to that mountain, you can work out how far it is away. And if you're denying that, you're just simply denying triangulation, something that's used by surveyors and people for centuries.
We're not
And if
talking
you're
about
denying
mountains.
that, fine.
We're not
We
talking
don't
about
care
mountains.
about you, Sinclair.
We're not talking about
Sorry?
mountains.
So why would it suddenly not work if I
Well,
look up in the
okay,
sky?
or
I
stars
want
then.
you to
And we
validate
use-
that
we-
it will
okay.
work. I want you to give me
Okay, we
experimental
use-
evidence that that's how it would
It
work
makes
on
no
a flat
difference.
plane.
You've just accepted. You've accepted that geometry works over any distance.
No,
Therefore,
we're not
work when
talking
you look it
about
up.
geometry.
So, for instance,
we're not
I'm doing a
talking
video
about
Why would it not
geometry.
work? Why would it not work? Go looking up. When you accepted
What is
looking
your
sideways, why would
experimental
it not look
evidence
looking up?
that you can use that methodology and apply it to optical, site-based observations
It's all optical.
of the celestial
You do it all the
objects
time.
over
because
great
surveyors
distances?
do that. We worked
You
out
do
the
it all-
distance to Everest before we
No,
got to
you
Everest.
can't
Before
do it.
You see,
Surveyors use actual
Hold on,
measurements.
we worked
They use
out the
actual
distance
physical
to Everest
measurements.
using
we're
So
not
do we.
talking about mountains.
using. But it makes
It's the
no
same
difference.
difference. Why
You
doesn't
said
it
yourself
work?
that it
okay,
works
how
over
Why
have
would
you
any
it not work
distance.
validated
looking
that
up?
it makes no difference between a
How would
celestial
you-
Geometry
object and a
works
mountain?
over all distances.
Says who?
Why would it? What would
Where's
be the
your
difference?
experimental evidence that it works for celestial objects?
Why would it not
Because-
work for celestial objects? What's the
Right,
difference?
we, for instance, we worked out recently using a satellite called Hipparchus to work out the distance to Polaris using triangulation, using the orbit of the Earth as the baseline for triangulation. So we did that, and we also
No.
used other methods. We also used other methods to determine distance, and they all agree.
So
which
you
is a
validated
clear
it. You
sign
don't
that
know
works.
what the distance to Polaris is. Now you're telling me that you validated using this method to measure the angles to the celestial objects
There are
by
lots, for instance, that we can use
measuring
redshift.
the distance to
Right.
a celestial
Here we go.
object.
So what do you want
That's
to
what
take
you're
measure
saying.
There are
to the moon or
there
something?
are several ways of
do
measuring
you-
the distance to objects celestially.
All right, let's
and they
continue this
all
chat in a
agree.
couple minutes. I'll give you time to talk, but I got to read a couple super chats and close out the show. So I apologize. Well, you'll get your opportunity. B-ball for life. Have you looked into the Vendy Globe? $5. Thank you, B-Ball. I have not, I don't think. I think you mentioned that before. I will look into that Vendy Globe. Is anybody familiar with the Vendy Globe? No? I don't know what it is. B-Ball, sorry. Maybe you can come in and tell us about it sometime. That'd be cool. Gourdzilla, $5. Jedi is pearl amongst swine. Thank you very much, Gourdzilla. I was teasing him in the chat that I think he just called me a pig, but I think I know what he meant. Okay, guys. Let's wrap up the show and then go ahead.
Do you want to know what the Vendy Globe is?
Yeah.
The Vendy Globe is a single-handed, non-stop around-the-world yacht race.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah, there's an interesting interview with somebody that did one of those yacht races at the 60th parallel south, I think it is. Maybe that's not the exact parallel. But they said this guy was a flat earther. So I don't know. I don't know what to believe about that. Anyway.
Well, he uses GPS, presumably. I don't know what. You're just a geometry denier, I'm afraid.
I'm not denying geometry. We're not talking about geometry.
You're saying that geometry, for some reason, doesn't work over long distances,
I'm
which
saying
makes
you
you a
can't
geometry
apply
denier.
it to that. I'm not a geometry denier.
Why
I'm
not?
asking you for experimental evidence that you can apply it in that. Use that methodology.
Right, here we go. We can work out the distances
No,
to
you already
stars.
said that. You already said that.
No, you haven't been. I'm making a new point here. And if you listen, there are several different ways of measuring the distance to stars, one of which is the parallax method using triangulation. And that agrees with the other methods. So the fact we've got several independent methods of measuring the distance of stars and they all agree within a reasonable margin of error means that they are valid.
Okay.
And quite why you
say
think
so.
somehow geometry wears out after distance, you have to come
Never
up with
said
some.
geometry wears out after distance.
Well, you are.
No,
You're
I'm
saying
not.
why can't we use geometry over the distances to the celestial objects?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Now,
why do you keep skewing my
what
words?
other-
I'm saying what makes you think you can apply that methodology to optical
because it's
long
geometry.
distance sight observations
Because we
of
know
the
that
celestial
geometry
objects.
works over any distance, and therefore we can apply it over any distance. That's why.
No, that's the mistake you made, and that's why you think that you live on a ball.
Yeah, I believe in geometry. Yeah, I agree. And you don't.
You
so
believe that
there we
you
go.
can apply it to the celestial objects like that. You can't.
We're applying geometry, to long distances, and that works.
Not to
And
long
it's
distance, to
validated
the
by
celestial
independent,
objects.
different measurements that all agree, which means that they're valid.
With all of the same corrupt assumptions.
No,
at their
no,
foundation.
you can use things like redshift, which does not use parallax.
Redshift is nonsense.
Yeah, and it agrees with the parallax measurement.
Would
So they all
geometry
agree.
railway tracks come together then?
No, they don't, Brian. You're confused by perspective. I don't know why. We fully understand perspective, and anybody who does anything with it understands it fully, like I do. I know the equations for perspective.
How do you
For you,
apply your geometry to what we're looking at is totally distorted?
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Brian.
All right. Shout out to C4 who said, I don't have anything trolly to say, just supporting the show. Much appreciated, C4. Thank you very much. I'm going to round it out here. Sorry, I got good there towards the end, but there's always tomorrow. I'll record the after show. Whether I ever put that out or not is an open question, since it's been forever since I put any of them out. But anyway, thank you very much, guys. Thanks to all those who supported the show. Shout out to my channel members, shout out to the mods, and shout out to the audience in general. Always a good time, and I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow night. Try to come up with something different. We'll take a break from looking through the 100 proofs. I don't know if people are getting bored of that or not, but it is pretty interesting to read that stuff from the 1880 something. It's like flat Earth. It's not much different than now. They just weren't on YouTube. But anyway. Must have been a lot slower. Like Blue of the 1880s would put out a video, and then a year later there'd be a response video from Nathan Oakley. Like very slow back and forth. But anyway, thanks guys. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.